for that close. But thank you, Obi. It's been a great one. Thank you, Real Trading. Thank you to the chat. Great look for everybody on Dell. I promise I keep seeing questions about Reddit. I'll get to that in the chat. We got to head on over to the professor and Adara. It's Learn to Trade.
See you soon. What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as That Midday Show. That right there in the white vest is your girl Adara, and I'm in the white shirt. And my name is Sharif, and we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream. We already have a couple of the OGs there in the chat. We got Jay Alex. We got 4 Lats. The world's greatest moderator, Bears versus Bulls, gracing us with his presence today. We got Chase Band, blessed trading to you, my friend, Easy Trader. We got Day Trader Cut. We got one of the OGs doing his little disco dance there. Darwin, shout out to him. Lionel Martinez. We got Ronaldo. We got Lionel and we got Ronaldo.
Look at that.
Maybe just need Cristiano next time.
Players, yeah.
We got Andrew Chow, we got Jarius, Brandon Townsend, Dara, Big Adam DeLuce as well. We got Gorab, Stevie B, 1320 Wolf, Fiddleback. We got Noah. We got Mr. Ian, Aldrich B, Saul G, Trevor Yoshida, as well as One Short. Welcome to everybody. Hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. We have a bit of a long weekend here. That's why the trading floor is a little empty. But that'll be a little bit different tomorrow when everybody's back. Good morning, Adair.
Yeah, good morning. How are you, Sharif, on this fine morning of Canada Day? Happy Canada Day.
Oh, it's fantastic. You know, walked in, there was like nobody on the subway, nobody in the streets. The streets were really clean from the Pride Festival this past weekend. Everything was really good. How about yourself?
Yeah, maybe it's been good. We're alive. We're here. We're ready to make some trades. We're sort of awake. So for me, that's a big deal indeed. Let's see how this goes here. I'm just trying to finagle my way out of this Tesla shorts. We'll see how that goes. I will admit some of the planning here was iffy, to put it kind of mildly. I should have been able to get out of this way earlier. Wow, Tesla. Okay, it's all good. We are out of this trade. Definitely lost more than we should have there. Should have been way more on the ball with that in terms of risk management. So yeah, there we go on that. If Tesla bounced again off 209, we're all good. I did take some of this out. I will argue I probably had too big of a position. Yeah, so we are in a little bit of a pickle to start the day. But you know what that means? You just got to go harder. And sure enough, as I get out, second I get out, we pop right back down here. So I definitely need to work on the risk management there. Yeah, that happened. It's all good. Now we're right back below my area of interest. It's so funny how the market does this sometimes. Just like I've said, though, I think sometimes I need that like little devil on my shoulder. And in this case, it is a big old Tesla L to keep on going, to keep on pushing harder. You know, Tesla, I've noticed Tesla, this 208.30 was kind of interesting. I was trying to use that as rejection for a short. If it wants to flip to support, I'll take it long. I am qualmless. I have no qualms. I saw that Obi or New Neil Esky is on the position board for some reason. Was also short Tesla. I think around that 209 as well. So good look there. Tesla, if you want to stay below 208, I'll short you again. I'm not going to let one thing get me down. But yeah, excited to go with these markets.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that New Neil thing was hilarious. Shout out to the Ob. He is the one. He is the Kenob and filling in for Sean Katina today. We hope Sean has a fantastic time on vacation. All right, guys, here's the deal. Let's have a look at the small cap gappers du jour before we start the lesson. This week, it's only 3 lessons this week, guys, because on Wednesday, we have only an hour on the How to Trade show. So no lesson on Wednesday, but we'll be back with the lesson on Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday, we're going to be talking about moving average convergence divergence, MACD for short. We'll start that one very shortly here. Here's what I've been looking at all morning. As you can see, the small cap gapper chart. You know, it's not filled with the best names today, but there are some good ones that we could possibly have a setup on. CSLR kind of, you know, breaking down below the volume weighted average price at $1.90. Now it's only tradable under my system as a range, not as a breakout trade. You can take it as a breakdown trade, which I don't do with small cap gappers because of the high short float and the possibility of getting squeezed. DTSS also broke down below the volume weighted average price despite having a decent day. It'll have to reclaim that 6 3/4 for me to get interested. But POET, Poet and Ninne, today. Both decent, decent looks today. POET up 31.5%, trying to stay above the volume weighted average price at 2 2/3. This one, you're not getting much of a notional move. I mean, it closed out on Friday at that 207. The high of day is 209. We're up 31%. It's not a bad look. It's not my favorite. The range per candle is quite wide on the 5-minute chart. Not my favorite setup. NNE though, this one, we know this one is a holdover from Friday. Look at that move on Friday from top to bottom on Friday. We hit 85% of the highs. We didn't close that way, obviously, but it just shows you the parabolic nature of this name, NNE. It behooves me to give you the deets on this again, and I will in 1 second. $606 million market cap. It's done 6 million shares on the day, and the float is 15.25 million. Let's find out what the short float is over here. I remember Trade Ideas didn't have it. Pretty sure. Give me a second. I'm just loading. Yeah, it's not on Trade Ideas, so we don't know what the short float, if any, is for NNE. We'll keep an eye on that. Donald John Trump. Yes, he is back, or it is back. DJT today. It will be on watch for me because of the Supreme Court decision that just got dropped. So again, we don't really get into politics, but it is a possible catalyst for this name. So I will be watching Donald John Trump. Great bounce off that 50 exponential near that 33 area, and up we go. Doing the dance right now with that whole dollar level at 34. We'll see if this one can start moving. It'll be on watch for me today. Anything you want to drop hot lines on before we start the lesson du jour?
Yeah, I think, like, you know, I always talk about when you fall, you get back up. Took 40 pennies on a Tesla short, much smaller position. I saw us holding 208.50. I was risking 208.30s. The decision making was a lot more, how do I put this, sane, and I was way more on the ball about it. So sometimes you just got to have that L, get back up, and I'm ready to keep going. If Tesla wants to keep bouncing here, I'm aware of these topping tail candles. I think there's something in the water. The position sizes will be smaller as I try to undo that little, I don't even want to say paper cut. I got stabbed there in that first Tesla trade. Just got to keep on going. Very excited, though, to cross over into MACD crossovers.
Segue. All right, guys. Let's get do it. So today, we're talking all week, as I prefaced, about the moving average convergence divergence. Today, we're going to talk about the crossover setup. So we're not just going to, tell you what this is. We're going to talk about actual trades. Today, we'll talk about the crossover, and then we'll talk about divergence, as well as some other MACD setups this week. So we're not going to get into, the mathematics or the kind of the nuances of how it's derived. We're going to talk about the trading setups. Before I do, big Adam Deluce, 2 quid, baby. Shout out to Adam. Great topic. If you're trading, it's valuable. Thank you very much, Adam. And England won yesterday, right? Like last second.
I did not. But
all you need to know is the name Jude Bellingham. Just remember that
I've
name.
heard of this man.
He's number 10 for England, and he's like the main attacker for Real Madrid.
That's cool.
What,
Go
baby?
Hey, Jude.
Jude Bellingham, baby. Yep. He's the reason why England is still hanging out where they are, and they're not. And Gareth Southgate is not fired. He's the coach of England. Otherwise,
you mentioned this. You mentioned the Gareth Southgate.
He was about to get fired. Oh, they were going south real quick, Adara, and Mr. Jude rescued said Southgate from the gates of. You know where I was going with that.
I did.
You know where I was going with that.
The gates of Bell and Gap.
Oh, okay. Let's get to the lesson du jour. Welcome, traders. Today's lesson tackles the MACD crossover, a popular tool for spotting potential entry and exit points in your intraday trading endeavor. So let's get right to it, as we always do. Going to preface the topic. What is MACD? MACD stands for Moving Average Convergence Divergence. It's a technical indicator composed of 2 lines. There's one line called the MACD line. The MACD line represents a difference between 2 different exponential moving averages. So you're subtracting the 26 exponential moving average from the 12 exponential moving average. And when you get that, the product or the result is the MACD line. The other line on the MACD is the signal line. A signal, it's a shorter term exponential moving average of the MACD line. So the MACD line itself is derived from 2 different exponential moving average. The signal line is a shorter term of the MACD line itself. Okay, I hope that helps out. You don't really need to know how the intricacies are of the name, you just need to know how to use it for your trades. So The 9-day EMA of the MACD line, which is what the signal line is called the signal line, plotted on top of the MACD line, which can function as a trigger for buy or sell signals. Okay? So 2 lines on the MACD indicator, the MACD line and the signal line. So understanding the crossover. Oh, here it is before we go on to the next thing. So this is the yellow line over here is the signal line, and the MACD line is, well, you know, the MACD line. So when you get a cross from the south to north side of the signal line, that's called a bullish. We'll get to that in a second, bullish crossover. And when the signal line crosses below from north to south, that is a bearish crossover. Okay, and sometimes you'll also see on the moving average convergence divergence indicator on the bottom of your chart histograms, right? And the histogram is essentially displaying for you visually the separation between the 2 lines. So the greater the distance between the signal line and the MACD line, whether north or south of that 0 point, is gonna be displayed with bigger bar charts for the histogram. So when they get narrower, the space between the signal line and the MACD line gets narrower, the histogram bars will get a little bit smaller. So you can use the histogram bars if you like. They're not required. They're just really a visual representation. So understanding the crossover. So the key to the MACD crossover strategy lies where these lines intersect, right? There are 2 main crossovers to watch for. As I just prefaced, there is the bullish crossover. The bullish crossover is when the MACD line itself crosses above the signal line. This suggests a shift towards an uptrend, potentially a good time to buy. Conversely, there is the bearish crossover where the MACD line crosses below the signal line. This indicates possible downtrend, suggesting it might be time to sell, or to hold off on buying. And here is where we get the bullish crossover. So on this particular case, the MACD line is the solid black line, the signal line is the solid red line, and then you have over here this coming out of that oversold territory and crossing above the signal line. So the MACD crosses above from south to north of the signal line, which usually means up time to buy. And then as you can see, it gaps up there on the crossover on the bullish crossover, you actually have a gap between the prior day close and the next day open. So here it is again. This is the bearish crossover. So you have the MACD line, which is red, the signal line, which is green. You have the MACD line crossing from north to south below the signal line. This is what we call the bearish crossover. Simple as that, right? Obviously a lot harder to execute in real life. So taking a look at the chart, imagine a stock with the MACD indicator displayed below, which I'll show you in a second. Let's say the price has been down lately, but the MACD line starts to rise and crosses above the signal line. This bullish crossover might signal a buying opportunity as the momentum seems to be shifting upwards. So that's what you're looking for right here. You're looking for that kind of idea. Remember though, it's not foolproof. The MACD crossover is a helpful tool, but that's all that it is. It's not a magic formula. Here are some things to consider. First and foremost, there are false signals associated with this, as with all technical analysis, so there's always false signals. Crossovers can sometimes be misleading, but most especially during choppy markets. So what does that tell you? MACD is good for trending markets, whether higher or lower, but not so much for consolidative markets. So if you see a price stuck within a certain range for umpteen amount of time, maybe MACD is not the indicator that you want to rely on. But it's also good for confirmation, you also should be looking for confirmation with your MACD analysis, right? Look for other technical indicators or price patterns on the chart that help support your MACD thesis. And last but not least, overbought and oversold. Consider if the stock is already in overbought or oversold territory before taking a trade based on the MACD crossover. And one way to do that, quite simply, is to employ the use of the RSI, the Relative Strength Index, another great volatility indicator that indicates to us anything above a reading of 70, typically looked at as overbought. Anything below a reading of 30, typically looked at as oversold. It's not always so cut and dry, but I'm just giving you a very basic interpretation. So beyond the basics here about the bullish crossover and the bearish crossover, there are other ways to use the MACD crossovers. There was something called the zero line crossover, and the zero line is actually a level on the MACD chart itself on the bottom. The MACD line itself crossing above that said zero line can also indicate potential trend shifts, and I'll show you what I mean in a second using charts. And there's also a different way called divergence. When price movement diverges from the MACD indicator, it could also signal a trend reversal. What do those look like? So here's a zero line crossover. You have the MACD line in red, and then it's not crossing necessarily here below the signal line. That's not what you're really looking for. What you're looking for is the MACD to enter below that zero line area. So that's denoted here in the the checkered blue line there. So that is another way to look at the crossovers using MACD. And this works both ways if you're crossing from south to north and north to south. But there's also divergence, and this is what I use RSI. This is kind of how I employ RSI, price action, RSI divergence. It also works with moving average convergence divergence. So what do I mean by that? Well, look at these lows over here on this whatever name. It doesn't really matter. It continues to make lower lows on the price action. However, when you look at that exact same area on your MACD indicator at the bottom of your chart, you start seeing higher lows. So you're printing lower lows on the price, but higher lows on the MACD. That's MACD price action divergence. And it typically means that you're looking for a possible breakout coming next. And what we see on this chart is you do eventually get that breakout. So a couple of ways to use it: bullish crossovers, bearish crossovers, zero line crossovers, and divergence. Okay, those are the ways that we can use MACD that we're talking about today. We'll be talking about more setups coming up next or this week. So the final word here, the MACD crossover is a valuable tool for intraday trades, but understanding how it works and using it with caution, you can definitely improve your chances of identifying potential trading opportunities. Remember though, practice with a paper trading account before you ever use real money, especially with these newer indicators that you have employed in the past year.
Yeah, you want to be very MAC discerning with your MACD usage. Thank you so much, Sharif, as always, for preparing those lessons of the day. And one thing I like as well, you always say, like, there's no crystal balls, there's no one-step ball solution. Wouldn't it be nice if there was a magic indicator? I was just thinking about that this time. That'd be great. I think that'd be cool. But that's not the point. That's neither here nor there. There are no magic indicators, so always be careful. Speaking of careful, I feel the need to address the trade I'm in, because I'm sure there are probably some people looking at going, but I'm sure Nvidia, because I loved that 123 area. I was obsessed with that 123 area. That was something that I definitely had my eyes on. I was watching like a hawk. I wrote this down in the pre-market, because look at that jump. This area here earlier, then we push up into 123.80s, and we come back and we chop around 123 again. Shout out to Rivian Millionaire. I see Rivian Millionaire in the chat going, oh, Nvidia is pumping. I look over and I say, oh, look what area we're approaching, 123s. So immediately I'm watching. I was not going to get involved till I saw a failed break of 123. We get to 123, we pop nicely here on the book to like 123.07s. And then we fall back down. I say, Adara, you owe it to yourself to try a short. This is a really small position. Like I said, Tesla did throw me a bit of around for a loop in the Roadster, so we're trying to be careful with position sizing right now. I would love to see a more intense break below that 122.90. We've broken below it, but we do keep skewing back above. I'm risking 20 pennies here. I would love my big area, the big white whale here, the area that I want is going to be 122.40s. Why? Area of support or resistance, area of resistance, area of resistance. I don't know. I like this. We've seen it once, twice, OB twice, whatever you want to say here. I think this could be an interesting look here for NVDA. And I'm aware this could go against me. I'm aware this looks like a bottoming tail candle. But you have to trust your instincts. You have to have confidence. And you have to have areas that you believe in. In my case, just based on how I trade, based on the fact I am a bit scalpier. And as I say this in videos, like, ha, 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 Adara. So yeah, this might be we're just going to get here. I don't like what I'm seeing on the book. So, oh, there we go. Let's try to get out of this one here. There we go. We're out. Lost a couple pennies. Maybe now it looks like we're bouncing off 123, so I stand by the decision to get out there. I have no qualms about getting it along if we keep bouncing. 2 super chats though to mention. One, thank you so much, Adam DeLuce, for the 2 quid super chat, tagging me and saying Jude Bellingham. I need to look more into this man. I've heard of him, but I don't know much of him. Neil is
Neil's
very down with your
pumped.
super chat. Adam Deleuze. So you can't deluse there. Sounds like England is not delusing either. So good luck. Also, thank you to, who is this? Adham Abu Sahel for the $4.99 super chat. Suggestion for the show: can we get to see the open positions for all the traders in the front desk throughout the day?
So I tagged him with the
you
more
did,
Trader
okay.
TV.
The dashboard.
Yeah, I did. I think the Bears versus Bulls is constantly putting them. So Edhem, we have, go into the link or go into the description of the video, just show more, and you'll be able to see the More Trader TV link there. It's a separate channel that we run simultaneously with the live broadcast. It's going to have Obi's positions today instead of Sean's, but typically it has Sean and Neil's positions. Adara gets that bad boy set up in the morning with all the headlines, all the tickers. If we have, Fed speak, economic events, it's all going to be on there, Adam. So run it simultaneously with this channel. Hope you don't have any data charges over there because it's a lot of data. All right, guys, let me tell you about the trade. The one trade that I've taken on the day, AAPL short, Fabian. I took this bad boy over here at 215.10, and we rode it all the way down into 214, high 60s, low 70s there. I love this area for Apple, 215.40 for whatever reason. Don't know why, don't really care. Generally, most of the closing prints on the 1 minute have all closed below that level. It's generally the 50 area, but when I look at it on the 1 minute, the closing prints all south of 50. So if we get up there again, maybe it's a rinse and repeat. However, if you're looking at that level with salivating mouths, you also have to understand that we've got higher lows over here. So incrementally higher lows with a flat top. Not saying it's going to be a flat top break, just saying be careful, during the more liquid time of the day, maybe power hour, this 215 and a half gets taken. Right now, though, it seems to be an obvious midday top, 215, mid-40s, or thereabouts. So keeping my eye on that. I'm all in favor of picking up dip trades long on Apple at 214. However, I'm not in favor of taking the long in this high 215 area until I see a decided breakout through that $0.50 level. So that's my look on the dead one Apple. Obviously, very undead today. It has, definitely, it woke up a little bit, Adara. All right, so that's Apple for you guys. Now, looking at Tesla, obviously the beast, the cyber beast, which is a version of the cyber truck, having one hell of a day today, though. I see a bit of a double top near this 211 area, maybe 210 high high 70s. The wicks sure go into 211.55, but look at the closing prints, especially with this crest and that crest very close together. 210.80, 210, whatever. We'll see in and around that area. What I'm looking for, though, is a break of the neckline over here at 207 and 2/3. If we get the break of the neckline, we break through VWAP. I think Tesla's a mean reversion back at least, maybe into the low twos. We'll see. Okay, but right now, anything above VWAP for TSLA or bouncing off VWAP is a long for me on the day. Up 5 and 2/3 was up a lot higher at its peak. And I think this trade that Adara was looking at here at 123 on Nvidia is absolute money, because look at this area range that we had in the pre. So the bottom area range was 123. We did get up into 123.78. We absolutely quadunked on the open there from that mid 123 area all the way down into 118s, high 80s, generally 119 though. And then we're coming right into that 123 area and having umpteen amount of problems. Obviously, Nvidia is very, very liquid, and so you're going to get breaches of the level. We'll have to wait and see, though. Do we get it on the way back down, as my friend Neil likes to say? It's got to prove to you a couple of candles there that the weakness is coming in, and then maybe we'll bamboozle our way into this trade. So keeping an eye on that. What else we got over here? We got Meta, very weak today. Looks very bear flaggish, trying to make its way above the volume weighted average price right now, knocking the door of 500 as it gave way this morning to 500 quite quickly. Guys, we almost touched 509 in the pre. This candle over here at around 740 got to 508.87, and the low of day is 493.17. So there's plenty of range, man. $13 plus worth of range on META. Trying its darndest to get back above 500, but obviously being met with a wall of sellers. The soft one, 1% in the clear, but there is a bit of a double top brewing here at that 452 general area. Again, look for confirmation of the neckline break below that 450 and a half, 450 and a quarter, in and around that area. So we'll keep an eye today on the Mag 7 name. Goggles, though, dead money. We should start calling goggles the dead one today. After printing all-time highs last week, kind of very, very slow, down, I should say, 0.01%. So absolutely flat on the day, nothing really to chime about with respect to goggles.
I like that. Yeah, my goggles, my peepers are definitely going to be an Apple here. I do like that range. Could be a little bit of a spicy Apple there. Could be bobbing for the Apple range. But also, I got back in the Nvidia short. I want to explain to you because I'm seeing some comments like, oh, like you left the Nvidia short early. I'm very much a scalper. I find the longer I'm in things, the more I make really questionable life choices. I would actually chalk up a lot of the issues, not all of the issues, a lot of the issues are just me and staying too long, giving it too much room to run. But a lot of the issues with my Tesla trades today, I would say, boil down to some extent to me staying in things for too long. So I feel like when I scalp more, I have better life choices. Basically, I got out, I just didn't feel good about Nvidia at the 123, that level. And I'm happy I left what I did because I would have 100% panic sold. I was only risking like 20 pennies there, right? Now I'm going to risk more into this 123.40 area where we had that previous wick. If we get higher than that, that's where I'm going to be out. But I've already started scalping out. Got some out at 86s. Like I said, I really want to see us break below that 90 level. I don't know why Nvidia 122.90 has been a level, but it's something I'm seeing in the book, so I feel the need to respect that. That's all good there. Now, but last time we were in, we got to 70s. So I added a little bit just below 123s. Like, come on, Nvidia, let's get back below 123s. But yeah, basically, as I see lower lows on the book, I'm gonna try to respect that, take pieces out, add back in, scalp out. This type of trading I found has been pretty decent for me if I'm doing it appropriately, so let's keep an eye on that. Tesla, I tried to take this long here. I like the 90 MA bounce. Obviously, we wanted to go a little bit lower, so that's all good there. Did get a little bit nicked, bit of a paper cut. My read on Tesla has not been great, so I need to respect the fact that my read on Tesla has not been great. Nvidia now deciding it wants to bounce off 123. I really want to watch what we do in the book at 123. If we see another bounce, I'm going to have to bounce out. And it looks like Nvidia does, in fact, want me out, Nvidia. So let's see what we do at 40s. If we do not reject here at 40s, this is going to be a line in this here sand. Yeah, I do not like these bounces at 30s. We're going to be getting out here. That's all good. Okay, there we go. I keep pressing the wrong button. Good times. So we're out of that. Please as punch with that decision. It could be a short again, but you just have to stick with what you're comfortable with. I think that sometimes matters more than, you know, you're the one who's making the trades, right? So you just got to respect your own reads on things. Also, GME I want to look at here. The game had stopped a little bit this morning on GameStop. Interesting support here at that 2270. Then it became resistance. I might actually need, I might try to get some locates here in this GameStop at some point if I continue to see these rejections off the 90 MA. But also, thank you, Pablo Huise, for the $2 super chat on Disney. So let's see what's going on in this here House of Mouse. Because we know the House of Mouse came falling down there. The moat there on that Magic Kingdom castle was very much siege. Sharif had a great short off 99s last week that I want to shout out. 99.50s. You had a good short around below the $100 area. Okay, Pablo. One thing I'm seeing right now. Look at that little support in the pre 99.30s. Look where we reject. 99.30s right after the open. 99.30s obviously an area we have not been near in quite some time, but I like that level. Now we're kind of seeing higher lows, but we're also seeing decent support here at 98.05s and maybe a range here, 98.05s to 98.30s. I would say, you know, be cognizant of the fact we could have a bear flag given the fact we had that big old move down and now we're consolidating, but I'm also seeing slightly higher lows and higher highs here, so I think we could be making our way back up. I would like to see us breach that 98.35 area, which is that area we wicked to and then could not get above earlier. But yeah, not a bad look here for DIS. I think if we break below 98 support, that's where things could be a little bit dicey. And the mice, it could be dicey for the mice, let's put it that way, for both Mickey and Minnie. Also, very happy I trusted myself in the Nvidia short. Nvidia now trying to break above 124. You have to have trust in yourself and confidence in your own approach. And that's why, like, you know, I just want to clarify, I am a bit more of a scalper. So second, I feel weird about things. I will run for the hills and I will try to be okay with that. What are you doing?
Just hanging out, looking at AMD. If I can show this chart, Fabian, before you take off. This one, people are yelling about this in the chat, and rightfully so. AMD recovering from a really tough looking start to the morning. 163, essentially the high there in the pre, and we got as low as, 153. 153 and 2/3. Recovering now, though, above the volume weighted average price, and also breaking through that whole dollar level at 156. To go, into Greensville on the day, it's got to work its way back up above 162. That's a tall order. At least it looks like that way right now. Let me have a look right now at our friend AMD. I'm not seeing anything specific to AMD that came in on the day. No, there isn't. I'm looking now, basically just saying that there's weakness in semis. So shares of chip stocks are trading lower. The sector may be selling off following strength in the first half. Okay. All right. Fair. So we'll keep an eye on AMD. Down, obviously, 3 3/4 right now, but trying to recover. Was definitely a lot lower. A lot more down on the day than that. You did get that moving average convergence divergence crossover, and I'm going to let you know about that because we're using it on the day. And where did MACD cross over the signal line? Right here. So you would have been in the money, $1 and change, had you taken that crossover. Again, you're going to have to use MACD with other confirmatory tools, but we are talking about MACD today and all week, so I'm going to be looking at it when we do these chart analysis. So at that 155, you got the crossover. Now we're printing 156 and change. And this is what I mean about the histograms really opening up wide and getting longer. The bar chart on the histogram, it really gets wide when the space between the two lines is at its widest. As you can see, when it crossed over, then there was essentially no bars. And then the bars started expanding again as the distance between the two lines starts expanding once again. So keep your eye on this MACD area, or this MACD indicator. We'll be talking about it today. Big Spile Burdette. SPY watching 544.15 to 544.85. Area of interest formed by FOMC day high and the anchor from the FOMC start of trading. What Big Kyle is alluding to in his super chat is the anchored VWAP, from which he's anchoring VWAP, believe it or not. One of those, the FOMC day high, and the other one is FOMC from the start of trading. So shout out to Big Spile Burdette. Keep your eye on his comments there. He's always giving his levels in the chat for the futures, Adara.
Yeah, he's keeping his eye on the SPY. That's why I started calling him Big Spile Burdette.
There you go.
So shout out to Kyle. I took a baby short on Tesla. I wanted into 80s. Tesla kind of bounced a little bit, got out 95s. The real goal, the big white whale goal. When I say that, I mean if all dreams are coming true, this is the area I would want. That's what I say when I mean the big white whale. So Tesla, I really wanted 209.60s. That was a level I knew he could get to earlier on the book from those 210 rejections. We didn't get there this time. It's all good. Took a few pennies here. I want to see what we do at 210.30s. 210.60s we rejected pretty harshly. Then 210.30s we held a support for a bit. Then we rejected. Then I took the 210 and changed short. So I want to see what we do here. Like I said, I need to get back into the scalp of things. We had a big old loss here to start the day on this Tesla because I was just not able to get out. My fingers were too slow. The risk management was poor, to say the least. The risk management was definitely not at the level where it could afford a Tesla. Let's put it that way. It was pretty poor. So let's see how we do here on TSLA. Not anything on this right now. I have my eyes on it. Also, the mentioning of AMD reminded me, I actually did have a trade in AMD. AMD is my only profitable name right now. So I kind of want to discuss that if I may. I took this short here, and you might be like, Adara, AMD short. Yeah, it was really scalpy. Took this short here off that rejection of the 90 MA at the time, and also that 155 area. I got involved 154.05s, risked into 155s. That ended up working out here. The goal was to get 154.50s. I ended up getting 154.60s. Took about 20 pennies, risk 15. Please just punch with that risk reward. You know what? AMD, if you want to start bouncing though, if 155.80s, I have no qualms taking you long. I am more short biased, but if I see a long setup I like, I'm cool with that as well. Nvidia also getting very close. The area I like on this is going to be 123.45s. We're basically there now. So Nvidia, if you want to bounce, I will have a scalp long. I will have no issue with taking said scalp long. Also, let's take a look here. Yeah, FOMC is the Federal Open Market Committee. That's what the FOMC is for some people asking in the chat. but that is the group which Papa Powell belongs to. He's actually speaking tomorrow for the European Central Banking meeting. I love when Fed Chair Powell speaks. I love hearing the questions he's asked. I'm endlessly entertained by his responses.
I wonder if he's going to tell us any of his favorite soccer players this time.
Right? So
I remember he was telling us about it.
So when he had his meeting with Canada, he randomly read out a list of his favorite Canadians, which was great. And so now he's in Europe. So will he be talking about soccer players in honor of the European Cup? I have no idea. But I will say Jerome coming in hot with that meeting when Governor Macklem of Canada was like, oh, call me Tiff. And then Jerome's like, well, if you have to call me Jay then. I was like, okay.
Cringe.
So they were having like a bit of a comedy duo routine. So let's see what kind of energy we get at that meeting. But right now, Chewy is giving me the energy of it wants to bounce off 2550s. This is interesting. There's been a lot to chew on, guys, recently with regards to, you got a pun, with regards to Chewy and GME. The gain might have stopped. Chewy also is getting a little bit bitten up here. The talons here of the dogs are getting into Chewy. This level, I really wanted to see us. I was looking at this 31 area. We didn't really retest 31. We got to 3050s, then we to the downside quaduk, if you may say. So interesting look here on CHWY. We're going to have to wait and see what happens here. But right now, the cats and dogs are roaring to the downside.
Oh, yeah. And I'm seeing a lot of, this is interesting, too, because Citron was trying to comment about the Catman and his purchase. And you should see the type of vitriol that Citron had to actually deal with from some of his people on X. So,
Citron deals with a lot.
Oh, yeah. And apparently there's one guy at Citron that everybody keeps targeting.
Andrew left?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's being left in the dust.
Yeah. They keep calling him about my name, too. It's actually quite interesting.
It is
So,
funny.
yeah, if you're going to trade these type of things, you got to get ensconced into the culture. But I want to talk about Uber for Amir. Shout out to Amir Barak asking about Uber. In the chat, here it is, Fabian. Uber, decent day today. To the downside, that is 3.5%. In the negatory land is UBER. Not really seeing anything except this. Uber analyst expectations for their EPS, I guess, was maybe revised today. That's what this headline is saying. Yeah, nothing really specific to Uber today. But anyway, big down move here. Close out 72.5-ish. On Friday, down move all the way to 69.40, trying to recover right now above $70, but most notably still trading below the volume weighted average price and finding resistance at that 20 exponential. You did get a cross here of the moving average or the MACD. You got it early. So these MACD lines seem to be telling you some stuff today on some of these mean reversion trades because it did trigger at around 69.55, which would have left you with a nice 50, 60 penny winner into the high there, but again, use it with other confirmation tools. UBER, no headline, down 3.5, below volume weighted average price. So keeping an eye on that. I don't really have any other trades, to be honest with you guys. I'm keeping an eye on NNE. I'm going to go ahead and load that on the side chart over. Oh, I got it loaded up already. It's up 35% today. It seems what I'm looking at is my side chart here on the 5-minute look. And this seems to be very much a 20-period exponential hold. Let me just confirm that I'm right on this. There is no closing print on NNE today below the 20-period exponential on the 5, subsequent to 9:35. So the 9:35 5-minute candle opened a skosh below that 20-period. Every other closing print has been above it. So it behooves me to set up a dip trade off the 20-period exponential. Right now, the 20-period exponential on the 5 is right at that $30 area. So I'm going to go into the trading screen, set up something to, just front run it by a little bit. Now, the 20-period exponential is a dynamic level. So just because it's hanging out at 30s right now doesn't mean it's going to be at 30s once the price comes down, if the price comes down to the 20 exponential again. So you need to be cognizant of that, of its dynamism, and basically adjust the order as the moving average moves up or down. All right, that's obviously if you want to do a retracement off the 20 exponential. That's what I'm doing. That's how I'm looking to trade NNE. I've set the dip trade up. I was about to say drip trade.
Yeah, well, you're going to be dripping after that drip trade.
Well, I don't know the kind of size I'm taking here, Dara. Maybe I'll drip myself a cubic zirconian.
It's drip, Sharif.
Yeah, drip is drip. There we go, baby. All right, so keeping my eye on that. Nothing else for me. I'm keeping my eye on DJT as well. Not much going on over there.
Yeah, I was literally making like a little dopey face at Nvidia. I was like,
Oh.
But yeah, so honestly, really proud of myself for this. I tried to take this Nvidia. Sometimes you have to like be proud of yourself for how you manage the trades, because we know that was an issue with certain stocks earlier today, Tesla. But I got long 123.85s. I wanted to get some out at 124s and then continue adding, subtracting, piece of the dream, yada, yada, and yada. However, we basically started holding that 123.80 like 85 way too well. I was like, I don't like this. We got to 123.70s and bounced. I was gonna get out if we got below 123.70. So I said to Dara, you know what? Stay in for this bounce, see what we do at 123.80s. If we can't get back above 123.80s, take your 5-penny loss and get out. We couldn't get back to 123.80s. I got out 123.79s. I got out, I said, hey, Dara, go short. By the time I pressed short, Nvidia already dropped like 20 pennies. Happy I had the right call to flip there, but I need to be faster on those flips. You gotta flip it and reverse it when required. So let's see how it goes. NVDA holding that 123.20 area very nicely as of right now. I wanna watch this hold a little bit more, in which case I will take this bounce. I'll risk into 123s. I have zero qualms about that. Yes, I do like the word qualm. You know, I apologize, it's a fun word for me. But let's see what we do here on N to the V, to the D, to the A. AMD, I did not take my VWAP bounce. I missed that, but AMD, you wanna give me another VWAP bounce? Like, hey, why not? Where do I risk here? What is this area here? If I get involved at 8, I want to take this, but also I am cognizant of the fact that we did have this nice little rejection, 156.50s. Now we have a bit of a topping tail candle, VWAP bounce notwithstanding. We're going to try to get involved here 85s. We're going to risk into 65s, which is basically that little candle area there. I can risk 20 pennies. I want to make at least 156 30s. So that's going to be at least, we're talking like 45 pennies, which is a level I can live with for sure. I don't think AMD will allow me here into this, you know, I don't think I'll be allowed here at least as soon. We're gonna have to keep an eye on this look for sure. Apple continuing to range.
Yeah,
it kind of looks like a bull flight breakout. So this could be interesting. Tesla at 211 doing Tesla things. If we bounce here, if we come back and bounce again off 210.65s, I have my area in that. What I've been trying to do is look at less stocks. I've been focusing a lot of my analysis here on AMD and Nvidia. Happy I had the right calls with both AMD and Nvidia with regards to those bounces. Wasn't able to get involved in either. But one thing Neil says that I really try to adhere to and stick with is even in the trades that you don't take, think about how would you have taken them, where would you have gotten out, how would you have managed them. That's helped me avoid FOMO and make better choices. So I really want to shout that out. Nvidia, if you want to make a lower high here, I will short you. Well, there we go. Let's look on that. How are you doing?
Good. Keeping an eye here on Apple. Thank you for mentioning that. Shot right up into 215 now, coming into that third. Could it be closing in on a half? I put in my dip trade on AAPL to take it on the bottom end of the range. I think Adara has a spot on there. It's ranging with that 214.5 generally as that area top. And then the bottom, though, that's the thing. A little zig, a little zag. Right? So it breaks 214.25 on one occasion, it holds it up on the other. Unsure of the exact area of the bottom. That's why I put my dip trade mid-50s. If it prints, if it triggers, great. We'll try to play the range on this one. Otherwise, you know, if it breaks above that 215.5, we'll have to look at it as a breakout trade. For me, though, right now, Apple ranging with defined area tops and area bottoms. We'll see if we can weasel in a trade on said name. The other one that I've got my eye on, NNE, I've already set up my dip trade on that at 30.25. Now it's broken down below 31 after touching multiple wicks on the 1 minute into 32. So this one finding a little bit of resistance at the whole dollar level. Hopefully it gives me enough downside move to trigger me at the quarter dollar. Right now, though, the spread, I don't know, 11 pennies. It's wider at times, 10 pennies now. Look, it's a spready one. It's kind of like meta-esque at the moment in terms of, that kind of spread that it has. 15 pennies, 20 pennies, sometimes a little wider, sometimes a little narrower. Keeping my eye on Tesla as well. That 211 area is very much like that 215.5 area on the dead one. Apple, because Tesla keeps coming into that general 211 area and rejecting. However, I am cognizant of the fact that what led to that 211 area is a series of higher lows. Okay, the higher lows is usually just chart talk for buyers overwhelming sellers. That's what that is, okay? So keep an eye to see if that double top manifests at 211 or that general area resistance maintains itself, and then we'll look to play possibly something on a mean reversion for TSLA. It has a way of doing that. 207.65 right now is where VWAP is hanging out. So keep my eye on both those trades. Yeah, nothing is triggering me right now. And I'm not going to chase anything on the day today. I absolutely refuse to, because I know what these days are like and what this type of week is like. And I don't want to get cut up. I'm going to insist that my prices come in. Otherwise, I will not take the trades. So let's have a look right now and see what else is popping off over here. Goggles also, unsurprisingly, has been ranging. Kind of like with everything else at the moment right now, even though we have strong names on the day, they're all caught in a bit of a range. Goggles, 182 general area of support right there. You get wicks below that, of course, and then basically VWAP. 182.5 general area resistance. Now, it doesn't come into there every time. In fact, I submit to you that the majority of the resistance prints are at 182.33. Whereas the majority of support prints are just a skosh below 182. That's a very tight range. We're talking about 30 pennies on $180+ name. So, you know, look, a range is a range if you're a range trader, but just a bit of a narrower gap there and less room for error, quite frankly. So we'll keep an eye on that. So I'm looking at NNE, I'm looking at Tesla, I'm looking at Apple. Donald John Trump just absolutely turned down there. So we'll keep an eye on that. DJT, it was trading at, it had a 34.58 touch. It does take a bit of a dip now, guys, into 33.5, still well above the volume weighted average price at 33 1/5 generally. Where is support and resistance here? How can we play this? Let's figure this out. Okay, so what does this area hold over here? This is a $33 area. Okay, so unsurprising that you would have support there. General area resistance too into 33, at least on the first attempt at 10 o'clock. It did break it over here at 10:20, but then it gave up the ghost quite quickly, came back into that closing print of 33 3/4, held support there. So a lot of zigzagging here on Donald John Trump. So I'm going to play it off VWAP. If it comes down into VWAP, holds that general area, maybe we'll weasel a trade into this one. But at the moment, nothing for me on that. NNE just refuses to come into my entry at the 20 exponential. I'm going to have to move this up now from 30 1/4 at least into 30 1/3 as the exponential moving average moves up with the price action. NNE, just a monster over these last 2 days. Great name and great strength there. Nothing coming into my areas though, Adair.
Yeah, also, guys, if there's any stocks you want to look at or talk about, please vote for the tickets of your choice. Go in that chat right now, ! Join, space, $, whatever ticker's your fancy. I don't know, is it NNE? Is it NKE? Is it NVDA? Is it DIS? Do you want to look at the House of Mouse, Microsoft? AMC, perhaps? Chewy, which I'm sure will be up there. You guys know what tickers are. You go in the chat right now, you put those tickers in there, $, space, no, wait, I did that order totally wrong. $, join, join space, $, whatever tickers your fancy. Yeah, thank you for putting that in there again. My brain had a bit of an oopsie moment there.
All good.
But yeah, go in there. Make sure that you do not have an oopsie moment and make sure your ticker is included on that look, because that is what we want to see, people's tickers in said chat. So I wish Sharif best of luck munching on that apple there. There we go. Much like the apple
Fabian,
that is on
I hit that by accident.
our little how to trade. Look, we have the little apple on the screen. So there we go. We're hanging out with the dead one. But also, yeah, this Nvidia, I had one short that worked here. There's 123.45, which is that area I loved from earlier. Took it into 123s. Honestly, that was a fine trade. Then I kind of mucked it up, like a little muddy there. You know what I mean? We did muddy the waters here. Took that 123 short, tried it not once but twice. Felt really good about it after I got it the first time. I was like, okay, if we can't break above, if we hold 123.10 as support, get out. We stopped holding as support. That's why I tried the short again. Didn't end up working out. If we keep making lower highs, I will keep shorting the pop around this 123.40s, but I need to be way more discerning about my levels of entry. I know I keep using that word, but it's a good word. Tesla. Tesla breaking below 90 MA at 210s. Don't, Tesla, don't. Tesla, don't do this to me. Don't tempt me to short you when I've had kind of a notoriously iffy read on you today. Oh my gosh. But no, I keep saying my read on things has not been great today, but I've had some decent reads. It's with the AMD and the Nvidia, I just haven't been playing them appropriately. So that's a me problem. But you know what else will be a me problem? If I don't take this trade I'm confident in. Because the thing is, if you like trades, you do owe it to yourself to attempt said trades. I'm going to be risking here. I don't want to risk it at 210.50s just for like, you know, purposes of, we had some bad Tesla trades earlier, so I have to be a little bit more discerning about what I'm risking here in all honesty. I want to see what we do here at 210.30s. That's an area I'm kind of interested in from earlier, these earlier wicks, and Tesla's like, oh, you want to see it? I can show you. I'm like, no, Tesla, no. I'm just saying, like, if you don't get there, I'll stay in you. But talking to stocks is unfortunately fruitless. But we're gonna have to see here how Tesla does. I like that we're below the 90 MA, a level that I arguably weigh a little too heavily. Let's see here though, I don't have a huge position. I have a position that allows me to piece out a little bit, but it's also not massive. I'm seeing lower highs in the book. Last time we got up here to 210.25s. Now we're, and as I say that, Tesla's trying to push higher, but we're like 210 mid-teens. Let's see how we do on the T to the S to the L to the A. Hopefully we're saying yay to Tesla. I'm not sure if we will be, but that's the look right now. And I think the thing is, if you believe in something, you do owe it to yourself to attempt that trade within reason. That's what I'm trying to do here on Tesla. AMD, if you want to be a range here, like, come on, man. I am going to get involved in this small position. Like I said, I like that 526.30. We just tried to get it again. Couldn't get above it. Risking into 50s, risking 20 pennies. I want to make minimum 30. Small position. Let's see if we can rumble here on my AMD and Tesla shorts. Tesla short, oh, Tesla, if you want to flip from support to resistance to 90 MA, it's not going to be a good look for me. I will leave. I have no qualms about leaving. But that's what we're going to have to do here on TSLA. Guys, yeah, I know. I just talk fast because I'm energetic about the markets. You know what I mean? I always say that. I like to talk as quickly as the markets move. You know what I mean? And I'm a fast talker anyway, like just in life. So the markets definitely get me a little bit excited. And then we have to talk a little bit faster. So there we go. Tesla really Teslaing my patience here. AMD back above 156.30s. I will have to keep eyes on that. But, you know, speaking of things being fruitless, hopefully your Apple trade is not fruitless.
Dara, it won't let me in. That's the thing. It's like another Cybertruck all over again with the door shut. We're going to have to, yeah, it's probably a Jerome Powell type trade up here. 214.5 is where I'm sitting. I'm going to sit at this level because that level is the range level, and I'm not making up the ranges. So unless it triggers me, I'm just going to sit on the sidelines. The other one that I'm sitting on the sidelines with and continuing to move up my order to shadow or to kind of mirror the exponential moving average, a 20 exponential on NNE. Right over here, I just moved it up from 30.25 to 30.5. Still not getting triggered on that order, so we'll have to pack our patience. What I did see, though, on the side chart was Softy come in to this 452.5 level yet again, and very much kind of like that 215.5 level on Apple. This 452.5 level on the soft one is a bit of a flat top. However, the higher lows are the most telling part of this story. So even though, say that again, Fabian? No worries. This 452.5, even though we're holding there at the moment at day's high, you have to wonder whether that, you know, more liquid time of the day, especially if we're hanging out near these prices, pushes through that and helps rocket this up anyway. This 452.5, it's not a level out of nowhere. It is the bottom end of the consolidation range, or near the lows, I should say. That's probably the better way to describe it, of the Friday price action on Softy. This over here is the IB low right there. The IB low on Friday was 451.61. But these are the levels that, you know, kind of are showing me former area of support, current area of resistance. Look at that touch at 11. Look at that other touch at 12.15, and yet again at 12.40. All of them bouncing off 452.5. So it looks as if Softy flipping from support to resistance right now with respect to that $452.5 level. It's printing as we talk right now, day high, and it just broke into another new day high right now. MSFT 1.25 in the green. Definitely the chart, one of the stronger charts right now as it prints high of day. You're not getting a high a day on Amazon. You're not certainly getting it on Meta or Apple or Tesla or Goggles. Certainly not Goggles. It's dead. or Nvidia. So it's really MSFT right now, the strongest of the Mag 7 name intraday. I'm not talking about percentage-wise. I'm talking about what it's doing right now. Here comes 453 on MSFT, 1 1/3 now in the clear as it breaks through that flat top. I'm happy that I was actually talking about that flat top while it broke in real time. But keep your eye out for 453. It's a $400 stock, guys, right? So when we talk about 452.5 and 453, we're talking about, you know, very, very small differences when it comes to these type of levels. So let's look for a possible rejection off this area owing to Friday's consolidation area low. Let's see what else is going on here. Amazon, with the Amazonian, has had umpteen amount of topping tails through 196. I got the Amazonian next to me here. I don't know if he's got eyes on it, but I've been seeing a lot of interaction with AMZN in this 196 level and a lot of topping tail candles through there. There were a couple of hammer candles earlier into 196, and then they kind of flipped to topping tails. But here's the deal. Topping tails or not, the higher lows are what is most telling, okay? Because that's showing you buyers overwhelming sellers incrementally at every different price point and every different time, you know, incrementally pushing that price higher and higher and higher. So even though we know that there's a seller or anybody looking to short, whatever, on the other side of 196, the buyers definitely in control today, up 1.5%. Right now is AMZN. No trades for me though right now, as none of my levels are coming in, and I'm going to stay that way till said levels come in. Let's come back into NNE. Did I get triggered on that? Nope, I did not get triggered. That's still a skosh above. Oh, hold on. Where am I sitting on NNE? 30.50. That's why. Okay. That's why. I thought it was 31.50. It's not. So I'm still sitting at 30.50 on NNE, and then that price is still accurate as that's where the 20 exponential is on the 5. So let's go back into AAPL. Now look, I've been waiting for this dip trade on AAPL at 214.5. However, if I'm going to take the dip trade for a range, why am I not playing the short in equally the same fashion as I want to play the long? That's exactly what I'm going to do because I'm sick of waiting on this one. And you know what? Maybe maybe I take it and then it breaks out, and then the account's happier there. So who knows? So we'll sit here at 215. And I'm going to sit at mid-30s because I feel the high end of the range is 40s. It looks like I just missed it right now. So I'm going to sit here, and if it comes in, it comes in. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
I like that. That's a good attitude to have. You got to roll with the punches. The market does enjoy. Just as you can punch into trades, the market will punch you in the face. That's how it goes sometimes. Also, speaking of rolling with the punches, taking what may, N to the V, to the D, to the A. That accidentally rhymed, did not mean for that to rhyme. Accidentally going like Shel Silverstein over here. But no, I took this short because look at these lower highs on a wick basis. This was an area I like to support. This 123.20, saw it flipping to resistance, said yes. I have not like a massive position, but a position that allows me to scalp in and out, which is the vibe. We're gonna be taking some profit just above 123 because I might not get my 123 break right away. Then if we get that break and we come back and bounce, I'll get out, risking into 123.40. So risking 20 pennies, trying to make minimum 20 pennies. That is a risk to reward I could live with. I realize that's a little bit tight. I could be going for a bit more, but given that I like scalps and smaller moves, I have to be okay with that kind of risk to reward ratio. At least that's what I'm working on right now. Also, this is, I believe, a bit of a dark pool. I got involved in this candle. I never actually saw us get this low. I definitely would have taken some profit had we gotten to 122.60. So I just want to address this candle there. But yeah, that's really the areas I'm looking at. I know we do have a little bit of a doji. This could go either direction. Right now, I'm more confident in the short. So that's the way I am trying to play it. So come on, NVDA. Let's go to the downside.
Don't.
Come my way, NVDA. Let's stay in Nvidia. Also, happy with this Tesla short. I'm actually really proud because it looks like I got out near bottom wick on this candle, which does not often happen for me. Took this short here, 210. I said I was risking to 210.30s, right?
What the
We
hell?
touched 210.30s. We kissed 210.30s briefly, just kiss it on the cheek quickly. Then we come back down here. I got out 209.60s. That was an area I liked on my last short there, so I was pleased as punch. I said, Adara, take that and run for the hills. So I indeed did. Happy with this Tesla short. Obviously, still down to the day from earlier Tesla-related mishaps that are very much just my fault. Giving the Cybertruck a little too much trust and wiggle room, which we should never be giving the Cybertruck, let's be real. But it's all good there. I've said before, and Sharif's joked, like sometimes I feel like I need a really bad trade to start the day and then just keep coming at it because I do like being underestimated. I've always enjoyed that. I've always enjoyed having like the struggles, having the deck stacked against me a little bit. That's always kind of been in life just the way that I think I perform the best. This might be another case of me, and this happened a lot last week, using my area of stop loss. That's where actually should have been my point of entry. I think that could be the case here in this Nvidia short because now we're back to that rejection area, right? But it's all good. You just got to do what you got to do. There took a bit of a cut as well in that AMD trade, slightly positive, basically flat on the name here, but that short did not end up coming to fruition. Got out where I wanted to get out. All good there. Ready for some new opportunities. I actually want to look at the IWM. I think it was Creative Life in the chat saying, you know, what is everyone's thoughts on small caps for the IWM? IWM is a name it's a permanent member of my side chart area. I will tell you that. That is what I always enjoy looking at. And this is no exception here. Let's look at the IWM. Oh, not a chair pushback, but close. Look at this bounce here at 285. We get our little continue lower. So that's support forming to resistance, but then we come back and we push back above it. Now the next area I'm looking at is this area we're going to be getting near this 201.20s. This was that area that we had around 10 a.m. So that could be an interesting area. If we reject there, I may scalp it short. If not, I may not. Happy I didn't get back in the Nvidia short. That's pushing higher. Tesla, let's see what you do here around 211. Tesla does still look a little bit bull flaggish to me. But we're going to have to wait and see what we do here. I'm always trying to look for some other opportunities. You're right about Google being the dead one. It literally looks like it is flatlining.
Yeah.
There.
And I got stopped out of my Apple short as it broke through that 215.5 top, printed a new high a day at $0.75. 215.73 right now, HOD on AAPL. It's printing high 60s. So we're pretty much hanging out near the high a day. So I'll keep my eye on that. I need you to take over for a second, though, because my...
Yeah, of course. Also, yeah, if anyone wants to vote for any tickers, definitely go in the chat and do that. I'm so happy I have buttons now. Go in the chat right now, exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers your fancy. Maybe it's Meta, maybe it's GME, maybe it's Nvidia, maybe it's Amazon. I don't know what tickers you guys like. You know what tickers you guys like. You go in there right now, put those tickers in that chat. SPY here doing something interesting, coming to that previous resistance area. I know chart analysis isn't always going to be helpful with the SPY, but what I like to do is look at the book when we're at certain areas on the chart and then see if I'm seeing anything I like. In this case, I'm kind of seeing something I like at 544.30s. Why, you may ask? Well, I started looking because I saw this little boing, this doji candle we bounced off quite nicely. Then we reject there. Then we come to VWAP now, and we're bouncing. So I might scalp this. If we can't hold on to 544.30, I won't even bother. But this is kind of an interesting area for me right now. Emphasis on kind of, I just want to see what we do here. Like I said, really trying to, I think I had some levels on things earlier. I just wasn't playing appropriately. So right now, I'm not seeing anything that is like screaming at me, Adara, trade me. So keeping an eye on that. But this SPY, if we keep seeing this bounce at 30s, which we did just see, I'm definitely interested. I'll risk this into 20s. I do like that. I want to see his poker heads go above 30 this one more time. There we go. I can live with that. We're going to take a position that gives me enough to scalp in and out of. That's kind of what I want. Sometimes you want those beak winners. I think I might have been a little too frugal here, but hopefully I'm not, and hopefully we can finagle our way into the spider.
I like it. I'm long Apple. I took the dip trade at 49s. We're 20 pennies in the money right now. I just got right back in at the key level of technical resistance. Earlier was the $0.50. It flips to support. I got stopped out. I got right back in on the other side. Now we're nicely in the money. Let's see if we can continue to head up a little bit. We'll see if we can continue to move up. 73's HOD. Scalped out of this one. We'll have to defend the $0.50 if we break down below it. So keeping my eye on that. I don't know what's going on with my Invisalign today, but it's like super, super weird. So I'm sorry if I'm having trouble talking today, guys, but yeah, the dental appliance is not complying today. In any event, so keeping my eye on Apple, looking for maybe a touch into 216. Here we go with 65s again. The other trade that I've been sitting and waiting very patiently for has been NNE. And the 20 exponential hasn't moved. It's still hanging out at that 30-50. And that's exactly where I'm hanging out. But I have to be cognizant of this one, you know, the bottom dropping off at any moment. It is a small cap gapper. It's around for a good time, not a long time. So I don't want to overstay the possible dip trade on this name because, yeah, it's coming into my area, but I don't really know how I feel about it at this point. We'll pack our patience on this one and see if we can get a little bit more out of it. The other trade, just this Apple trade, nothing really doing here, staying above the $0.50. If we continue to hold above the $0.50, I'll continue to hold this name. The other trade that Dara just alluded to, or another possible look here, is this Google trade. Unbelievable. I don't know what's going on here with Google and this 182 and a third, a quarter, and essentially, you know, the range is getting tighter. It looks like the majority of the bounces are coming off 182, rejecting off 182.25 or 182.30. And, you know, sometimes they'll dip into 181.90. I mean, a whole other 10 pennies there. So Google, very, very tight on range today, but presenting you with an opportunity nonetheless. Tesla, knocking the door of 211. It has been since essentially we touched it initially at 10:30 today. So that's been an hour and a half of this general 211 area on TSLA, not able to take it on a closing basis and not really making any lower lows. In fact, when I look at this, I should have set up a 20-period exponential dip trade on Tesla rather than NNE, because this one is really respecting the 20 exponential on the 5 a lot better, or at least maybe coming into it a lot more often, presenting me with trades. So Tesla's continuing to put higher lows with that 211 flat top. So I'm going to leave that one alone. I don't feel like I have the best read on it. But Google coming into that level again. Here comes 182. And if you want, you know, you can sit at 182 and change, or you can sit at 181.95 and change. It's giving you both. Sometimes giving you the bounce off the whole dollar. Sometimes it's breaching the whole dollar by a couple of shekels and then weaseling its way right back up. So goggles, great range today for those who want the stable trade, the less volatile trade. There goes Apple into 75s, and there goes 75s on the dead one. 76 right now, HOD on AAPL, and we're going to obviously encounter some selling there as we hang out that $0.75. I'm long 49s. I'm hang out and find out, see what happens.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about this super chat here. Thank you. I'm just going to quickly get out of this SPY, and then we're going to thank okay, give me 2 seconds here. Come on, SPY. Pamp it, but SPY, please don't pamp it.
Oh, my bad,
no, it's
my
okay.
bad.
It's all good there. I do want to, did I not get out of this trade? Okay, that's weird. There we go. We're out of the SPY now. Let's talk about the super chat from Fugazi Bear. Thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. School's canceled. Snow day. Cash my calls. $, $. I do love the puns. I love the puns over here. We all know this. It's a great look. And I have to say, I like this little range we're in here right now on Snow. Look at this. We have this bottom here, 140.40s, 140.40s, boom, 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 boom. Bouncing around here quite nicely with that 141 top. Let's see what we do here. Interesting look. Then we also had a little bit of a level here at this 140. Rejection, then we pop a little bit higher. So this was, I would argue we had 2 bull flags. First bull flag was successful. It was this one breakout around 140. Then we tried to get another bull flag. Not successful yet. But we are still bouncing off. Look at this. We had these wicks here into 140.40s. Now we're rejecting off 140.40. It's a great look, Fugazi Bear. Don't think there's any Fugazi here in Snow. It's all, it looks like a pretty clear sign. I also want to shout out Obi's amazing puns earlier today. Neil and I were just looking at each other like, huh? Because those things were so on point. He was just delivering them with a total straight face. So I think they're, giving me a pun for my money with those. But great look on Snow, Fugazi Bear. Best of luck to you. But also, we don't have to wish best of luck to Neil because we know he's going to kill it. It's Neil's lesson of the day.
Welcome to Lesson of the Day. Today, I heard a couple of references to a Missy Elliott song, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be the idea. I know Obi said it. I've heard probably Adair at least say they got to flip it and reverse it a couple of times. And as a trader, there's nothing wrong with having a bias. You're going to have a bias almost every single time you enter into a trade because that's the idea. Like, you think something's going up, you go long. You think it's going down, you go short. And the overall market, you can think the same thing. But there are moments, there are areas where you do want to flip that notion up. I think it's important to stay mentally flexible when you're a trader, not just get married to a certain direction, because if it just keeps on going in the other way, you're going to find yourself losing. Whereas if you join that trend at some point and flipped it, you can eke out a bit of a win, or at least get away from losing. I think that's a really important thing. So, when do you want to flip a trade? first things first, you cannot, you can't flip every single trade. You can have an out on a trade and a stop loss. If you're long, it breaks the support, I'm getting out. But if every single stop loss is an exit and a reversal, believe me when I tell you, you're going to be bleeding fees and just burning up so fast, you're going to get hurt. So you want to focus on key price levels, key areas, key trends, and then you can find places where you might be able to reverse. And the mechanics of doing it isn't always simple. I'm going to start with Nvidia here. This was an example, I think, of a clean breakdown. 123 for the end, last 3 days of last week. You know, it held it double bottom pretty much every single day. Every day, you get into 123 and make a double bottom, double bottom, double bottom. So at the open, all it did is instant flat bottom break. Now, if you got that short, great. You had to be really quick on the trigger. It wasn't the cleanest move in that, like right away at 9:30, the first move was up and then it tried to bounce and then it flushed through after the fact. It turned into like multiple shorting opportunities. There was a break of 120 for a scalp trade. There was back into VWAP. Like when it was trending down, you could have shorted at 22 here, 20 break, back into VWAP at 21 also worked. Then things get interesting here at 22. And this was the last place I was willing to take it short. Why? Because that 123 is your key price level. And once it's not working off that level, you can probably scalp it a bit. You see it hold that higher low. That last good short holds the higher low and then breaks out the top. You just, at that point, just don't look, you don't want to look for shorts. That support level has come back in after a wipeout bottom at the open. And when you put on your higher time frame, like your 15-minute chart, what do you have? It's starting to look like a liquidity grab underneath setting up for a top break. And that's exactly what you get. So I think sometimes, like I tried a couple of longs, a breakout trade in there, a dip. That was kind of a flat one. But you could have a good morning short turn into all of a sudden you go from green to red on the stock if you don't get away from the short. Now, trying some longs, it's going to be hard to lose big when it's trending up. And I still think it's going to continue to do so. That is a clean reversal off a big level. And the key part here is that's the level that you would have been focused on anyways. So when it reclaims that level on strength, it's easier to get away from it. And it's not always that simple where it's, hey, this is the level I like the whole way through. That's where I'm going to reverse that trade, all that kind of good stuff. Now, Chewy's a different story because this is a squeeze type play. Roaring Kitty announced his, 6.6% position in Chewy. Good luck to him on that. And it's a very, very different trade. Now, I only went short and eventually did go long. Both of them kind of ended up working. But it's not, like I don't want to consider this when I stop going short into the long. I'm really talking about the flip that would have happened pre-market. Because we don't trade pre-market, but let's understand that a lot of people do. And there were some really good reasons why you would have had some longs in the pre-market on Chewy. When the tweet happened saying he was interested, well, he didn't say he was interested, he just tweeted a picture of a dog, let's be real. It was at 30.5 that things really curled. So you had the big spike up, and then it flushed. When it gave up the open range, it was right underneath here where things really broke down. You had the 33 level, then you had 30.5. The consolidation in the second half of the day flushed into the low. So what happens this morning? There's your 30.5. If you were long at 6 o'clock, great. If you were long at 7 o'clock, goes right back into that 30.5, bounces again. You're probably 31 long, a couple of dollars in there. There are lots of reasons why you should. I have nothing to say negatively about going long in that 31. Like Obi and I were looking at this after when we're looking for some shorts here. Like, wow, that's kind of an easy trade. You're risking 50 cents, maybe a little bit more than that. It goes the first time $4, the second time $2. There's nothing wrong with it. But look at the consolidation right into the open. You spend an hour consolidating underneath a support line. Underneath a support line. This is an obvious flip it zone if it can't hold support. If you're into the long again there, it's either you're already out of it, or if you're holding for a deeper level, and maybe you can hold it past this like 29 half bottom that emerges. Now, some people only like to go long, fair enough, but when it couldn't break that 30.5, and a lot of people were looking for breakout trades. I was looking for breakout trades. Didn't get it. So I did not immediately flip. It was a mistake. Like I was looking for longs. I wasn't in the pre-market long, but I was looking for longs when it couldn't break that out. There was no chance of the move into 33 for another break. You just had to jump short. I did not short the first breakdown, waited for it to make a second breakdown, and then you go in the other direction. There's nothing wrong with that early pre-market trade. But when it loses it, it's pretty easy to see that that is not what you want. Like at this moment, if you do this and it's pulling back, you're like, okay, if it gives me the 30.5 again, I like it. It gives you a 30.5, you like it, it breaks out, looking good. Well, when this happens and you're underneath, you've got to be thinking about an exit plan. And not every trade is a reversal, but there is a clean spot where that reversal makes sense. And it's not always easy. I get it. Hindsight's going to be 20/20, but if you've got a key price level or a line in the sand, and then there's some confirmation with it, that's your reason to go short. Like unlike Nvidia at that key 123, you really needed to see it break that consolidation down, maybe even consolidate lower. Then you've got your confirmation that this thing is done. It's not about just being, oh, this is a long, this is a short, I'm right, market's gonna be wrong if it goes against me. That's not how it works. You can only do that for so long. And I'm gonna give you another example here. Last one, and we'll get out of here. GameStop. Look, I was short GameStop. I have the worst out short on GameStop of the day, no questions asked. We're shorted at the open into the 23 level. It broke the top. I got out, went over to Nike. Nike was a good short. But we got out of it. Well, you know what? Look what happened on GME. Now, I think it's pretty obvious to see, breaks the pre-market low, makes a huge volume bottom. There's your resistance at the pre-market low. It's still a short at that point. Makes a higher low. Wow. Straight to the top, bounce off VWAP. That's a reversal for me. Once it gets back above this and shows trend up, I'm now looking for longs. I was looking short. I missed the short. I had it early. We gave it up. We didn't get any more. But the second it breaks back above that pre-market low where there was support before, trends out above it, now I'm buying dips because it's the other thing. One of my favorite all-time characters on TV is Marlo Stanfield from The Wire. And there's a famous line where he goes to the security guard and he says, you want it to be one way, but it's the other way. The world doesn't care, the market doesn't care how you want to see it. Truth is truth. And when a trend reverses and there are multiple signs that it's happening, the least you can do is get out of the way of it. The best you can do is flip it and start looking to go in that other direction. So there are points at which you should flip your trade. You can't flip them all. There's just no way you can do that. But if you can find some real confirmation, then you're going to make a little bit extra money in your trading, as I should get more GameStop out here at 23 quarters. But flip some trades, not all. Find key levels, find confirmation of that trend break, draw a line in the sand, and if it starts trending in the other direction, don't be afraid to flip and go with the trend. That's your lesson of the day.
Thank you very much, Neil Roberts. Eloquent, awesome, and informative, as always. Neil Roberts every day around that noonish, lunchtime, dropping hotlines on his lesson of the day. So make sure to catch that. Thank you very much, Neil. As he was dropping said hotlines, I did weasel my way into a Google short. We've been talking about Adara, how this one was the dead one on the day, and then 20,000 on the NQ September contract gets breached, and Goggles absolutely rockets up. My bad, Fabian. I should have had that flipped up. Rockets up, breaks 182 and where was VWAP? 182.5. I'm short 88s. It's going to be a very tight stop through the break and hold dollar at 183. If it breaks 183, gonzino. It's going to have to maintain that level. Otherwise, I want none of the smoke, especially with the future moving the way it's doing, moving the way it is right now. So line in the sand is the breach of the whole dollar. We're short 88s. We're 2 pennies out of the money as we're printing 90s. Now, break even right now on Goggles, looking to print into $0.75. We'll see what we get, and we will not get upset. Shout out to Neil. All right, as Neil was also talking, Apple broke 216 on the day, 216.03. As it headed up, I got out of this mid-90s, so we did not, participate in the other 10 cents that moved to the high side. But 215.92 right now is the current price action on AAPL, 2.5 in the clear. So we'll basically continue to watch that. But it's Google right now that I'm 6 pennies out of the money on, and I need to watch for the breach of the whole dollar, because that breach is going to stop me out, Adair. What are you looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at Tesla. You know, I was thinking we were saying don't stop believing unless your P&L literally tells you that you cannot take a trade unless you are obsessed with it.
Yes.
I don't mean that. By that, I don't mean like, oh, like I'm worried about losing money. I'm like, literally, we either do well or get shut down. Like, that's what we're at. I'm not happy that I'm at that level. I want to be very clear. I'm not trying to be glib. I'm not trying to be flippant. However, I do know statistically, for whatever reason, I tend to trade better and make better decisions when my back is right up against that wall and I'm getting choked by the market. So with that in mind, I like Tesla 210 short. You might be like, why, Adara? I mean, look at us below that 90 MA. We're rejecting that 210.30 area. We looked like we were going to hold it for half a minute. Then we rejected. If we'd held 210.30, I would have tried a long. The thing is, I can risk literally very little, so I can really only punch in here if I am like, you know, I don't know what that face was, but if I'm like dying over the trade. So that, I like that though, because it makes me go harder. It makes me have to have an intense amount of confidence. Now, mind you, Tesla, if you want to keep making lower highs, I will have that intense amount of confidence. I wish Tesla was not the stock I was considering for this, because we know the volatility of our pal Tesla can definitely, you know, mess me up. That's fully valid. But we keep, this is going to be interesting. It's going to be really tough. And I think I do like this level. Now we're kind of bouncing off 210, so I'm going to be aware of that. But yeah, that is where the situation is right now. We're in a situation where if I do not have a mass amount of confidence, I cannot get involved. Tesla had that fake breakout back above 210. Now we're back below. This could be interesting. I might have missed my opportunity through my wiffle waffling, but I don't mind wiffle waffling if it stops me from getting stopped out.
I like waffles.
So do I, actually. I do. I was just thinking about waffles, weirdly enough. I don't know where we got there, but yeah.
Wiffle waffle, I'm assuming.
Pardon?
Wiffle waffle, I'm assuming.
Wiffle waffle, yeah. You're right. That is where we got there. Or like, you know, Tesla, let go this 210. Speaking of waffles, let go the 210, and then I can get involved. But yeah, GME I want to look at here as well, because I have been interested in that name. Whoa, look at that bounce here at 23. I was joking this morning, like this is actually 100% serious. This morning I was like randomly at Irreplaceable by Beyonce in my head, and not even the chorus, like a random part of Irreplaceable by Beyonce. And just as I figure out what song I have in my head, I see that GME is down like 6% and Chewy's up like over 10%, and I realize that's what GME is. GME is singing the, you know, the Irreplaceable. Like GME's not the right. Okay. The whole message of that song is like, don't you ever for a second get to thinking you're irreplaceable. And that's what GME had to realize because it was replaced by Chewy. And
to the left, yeah. Isn't that?
That's the song.
Yeah, it is to the
but
left.
I had a different part of that song in my head, and I was like, that's so funny. I was like, why is this in my head? Then I see GME down 6%, and I realize the market is telling you that GME is replaceable. So yeah, really weird mental song. Brainwave there, but I want to see what we do here at my brain works in music. Let's see how 2340 goes. This could be interesting. Definitely do not have enough risk to trade GME right now, but I'll keep my eye on that. Really looking at that Tesla short and Nvidia giving up 124.50s. And if there's any stocks you're looking at,
bang! Oh,
please
look at
vote.
who's got the stream deck now. Okay.
Go in the chat right now, exclamation point, join space, $, whatever ticker's your fancy. Maybe it's GME, maybe it's AMC, maybe it's Meta, whatever stock you're looking at, get involved in there. Get that ticker in that chat right this second. And also, make sure that when you're having your trades and putting your voting, you're
confident.
And I'm going to stop with the stream deck now.
Oh, it's
How
all
are you
good.
doing?
I just want to, you know, talk about the comment you just dropped there. Your brain works in music. I love that. Yeah, right, like it's like I should start saying, you know, my brain works in trading.
I don't know what that makes sense.
Anytime I look at anything, I look for patterns.
Yeah.
Right, like I look for higher lows or lower highs, and you know that's just the way my brain works. And I gotta agree with that because you're making a joke about music, but literally, like
I'm being serious.
Yeah, no, I see patterns in everything I do. Anyway, all right, this pattern right here, Fabian, we're short goggles at this level, and I see a topping tail candle. I see a rejection of 183. I get a little bit excited. I'm waiting at the $0.75, but we know how goggles has moved on the day. Yeah, I didn't touch it. My mic. Oh, got it. Thank you very much for that. And we know what goggles has been doing on the day. It's been super rangy and really hasn't given you a breakout or breakdown trade. So I'm going to pack my patience on this trade. It didn't stop me out. It did get into 183, didn't continue. However, I am looking at the futures right now. The futures continue to go higher. If they continue to go higher, you know, it's just a matter of time till goggles goes higher. Okay, there we go. We got the print on goggles. Happy about that one. We'll see what we get, and we won't get upset. But right now, though, we're in the money nicely on goggles there. We're gonna let that one work, okay? Because I did like that level. Shout out to Adair for pointing that out too, because I didn't actually have eyes on that. But look at Apple. 216.33 HOD. We know this monster got to 220 after the Apple event, WWDC. However, it did not hang out long at 220. Was it a 220 touch in the pre? It was a 20.
Yes, it was. That's
Remember, because we talked about that and we're like, watch, it got to 220 in the pre. It's going to be a rejection because we did a lesson on that.
Yeah, we did.
Anyway, so I'm keeping my eye on the dead one right now to see how it trades at 216, 216 and a third HOD. It's been very strong. We didn't mention this today because it didn't come till later, but Needham gave Apple the nod today. Okay, hold on, what's going on here? Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, so here it is. Needham gave Apple the nod today with a 220 price target. Obviously, much lower than some of the other ones that have been coming out. It maintained its buy rating and increased the price target to 220. Didn't put that on the upgrades and downgrades because it was not available when that came out. So keeping an eye on that. Go goggles. There we go. Nicely 20 pennies in the money now on Google as it breaks down into the 60s. And that's the end of my trade right there. Very happy with that one. Stuck it through, saw it through, put the stop placement in the right area. I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just giving myself the pat on the back when it's warranted. And I'll give myself S when it's warranted as well. Okay? You guys know what I mean by that.
Yes.
So keeping my eye on GOOGL to see what it does when it comes to 182.50. Why? Because 182.50 was that area of local support that it kept ranging between at the highs, right? We kept saying, you know, that 182 general level, and then at a third, it typically rejects, but the outliers come into 50, which is where VWAP was hanging out. So if we get that 50 touch to come back into VWAP, I do want to see what it does there. I won't have a resting order there because I don't just believe in the trade on this particular setup, but I want to see what it does. If it starts bouncing off there and making new highs, I'll weasel my way in. 182.50, I'm looking for a long on goggles, Adair.
Yeah, I mean, I tried my Tesla short. I lost a cool 1 penny, and you may be like, Adair, what was the point of that? Basically, I thought we were going to have our 210 breakdown there, got involved at 210.03s, knowing I could risk no more than 10 pennies. Like I said, it was really a now or never, type trade. And then I got out 210.04s. I was like, Adair, if you're going to have like a ride or die trade, Tesla's not the stock to do that with, especially when you're risking like so little. So happy I got it where I did. I 100% would have gotten shut down had I stayed. So it's all good there. I still want to have the opportunity to trade something else if I see something I like. Now I think Tesla's holding 210, but like I said, really literally not afford to get involved unless I am like obsessed. I'm watching Tesla, unless I'm obsessed, but I am watching Tesla at 210.30. Why 210.30? You may implore, you may ask, you may inquire. 210.30 was holding really nicely earlier as kind of a resistance support area on the book. Now we see we're pushing above it. That could be interesting. You know what else could be interesting though? Is our pal Nvidia, also admittedly kind of a risky name to ride or die trade, is coming down a little bit here. Look at this push up into 125s here. Then we see we curl down. I see you, Nvidia. I see it, I like it, I want it, I got it. Shout out to Ariana Grande. But I also see these bottoming tail candles. So Nvidia, I think there is something brewing here. I'm weirdly more comfortable taking Nvidia than I am Tesla because I'm way more comfortable with my read on Nvidia than I am with my read on Tesla. So as odd as that may sound, that is what the look is on Nvidia. AMD, another one that AMD, you might be the one. You might be the one, AMD. Look at these 90 MA bounces. I'm like, okay. We have this big old bottoming tail candle. That could be an interesting look. I'm also looking at the futures here. We are really struggling with this 74.60 area. We kind of look like we're going to push above it, and then we can't. So I'm like, you know what, Adara? This could be a bit of a scalp short here on these TQs. Risk, like, get involved, like, 74.60s. Risk literally into 62, 63s. Risk nothing. Try to get at least 50s. I know we can get to at least 50s. I've seen us get to at least 50s. So that might be the look. If I can see anything here that's really justifying this trade. But again, I do not want to rush into anything. I find for whatever reason, I do make somehow oddly better trading decisions when literally there's like a machete to my neck, Adara trade or die. So let's see what happens here on TQQs. I will stop talking now.
All right, keeping my eye on VLCN. Very interesting one here, guys. Small cap gappers showed up kind of midday. You can see the volume it did start at 9:30, but it did, give everything back and did nothing. As you see how the volume really dried up there. And then the volume started coming in for whatever reason right at noon. And back we go. So it's back on focus, up 44.63%. 6 2/3 HOD, hanging out right now at 6 1/4. Great hold up at the volume weighted average price after that 6 2/3 touch. It did break down between the hold up below the whole dollar level and bouncing off. Yep, volume weighted average price at 86s. It's a bit spready for a $6 name. Here are the details on it. So it's very, very small market cap. Volcon Incorporated, $1.89 million market cap. Likely, was sub 1 million when this started trading on the day. We traded at 428. The float, 250,000 share float. Okay, so this thing is minuscule. There is going to be a very, very tight supply of this name. VLCN, let's find out the short float. If any, 10%, 9.55. So 9.5% of the 250,000 shares float is shorted. That's crazy. Okay, so this one could absolutely get parabolic. It's just about catching it at the right time. You can see right now the range per candle is very wide, making it very hard to place stops and profit takers. So you're going to have to be very careful with this one. I would suggest that you size down unless you really are adept at trading these low float small cap gappers. Be careful, guys. That's all I got to say, okay? $6 or thereabouts, finding support. I had eyes on the IB high at 5 2/3. It didn't make it into 5 2/3. Keeps finding its footing at 5 4/5 at the least, but mostly off the volume weighted average price. So VLCN, great midday bump into the high side, holding the volume weighted average price, but the range per candle and the spread on it is quite aggressive. Let's load it up on a trading screen here. We'll take off VLCN, NNE, we'll put on VLCN, and we'll have a look at the book to see what it's up to. So right now, 2 penny spread between the bid and the ask, but when you look at the level 1, so that's inaccurate. You have to look at the level 1 there for the right look. It's 7 pennies right now, tightening up to 5. It opens up and it gets wide, then it contracts, wide and contracts. So you're gonna have to keep an eye on this one. I've seen it as wide as 15. Right now, it's 2, so not a bad look. Go, Apple, go. I'm not in it, obviously, on the day, but this is my biggest holding in my personal account, and I could not be happier. 216.58, and this is not financial advice, but I'm gonna hold this for the next year because I want that super cycle blood, baby. I
like the way you worded it.
Yeah. That's just, I believe, I have a high conviction into this trade. I think that they're gonna AI the hell out of every product they have. I'm talking about those AirPods. You're gonna be talking to the AI in your ear. It's gonna be giving you answers. At least that's how I see it. It's gonna be, we haven't even started getting into the Apple Vision Pro yet. I don't think that that's going to be the form factor that takes off. I think obviously it's going to be more of like a Meta glasses. My buddy wore his Meta glasses out again. I told him I'm not going out with him anymore if he starts wearing them again. And everyone knows and there's a light on when he's recording. It's quite embarrassing. I'm like, yo, put a black tape over that light or something, bro. People keep looking at us in the club.
Serious?
Yeah, because there's a light on his face when he's walking around. Why is there a light? It's obviously to tell everybody else around that he's recording. I get that. That's a whole thing. But sorry, I digressed a little bit there. It just reminded me of Saturday night.
I feel badly that your friend is like, doing this.
Look, he's a good dude. He wants to stunt, right? And whatever. Anyway, he's having a good time. Let him stunt, right? Anyway, great move up today. AAPL 216.66.
Yeah, some Chamoon wants to talk about Reddit here, so I'll pull up Reddit. Tesla's still bouncing off 210s. I have no decisions yet on Tesla. But let's talk about Reddit. Okay, so Reddit, about a volume on this, I have to admit, not like my favorite in the world. We're at about 1.3 million shares, so not bad. But what I am seeing that I think is of note, look at these lower highs. Now we're below the 90 MA. I don't want to say flat bottom break because this is not like the flattest bottom in the world, but we are here around that 64. I don't like the way I worded that. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I did not mean for that to sound like that.
Funny.
It's all good.
It's all good.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we're stalling here is what I'm trying to say, around this 64.60. We're just chilling out. we're hanging out, we're chopping, and we are churning, and we're having lower highs. So for me, I think as long as we can hold, look at where we wicked into though, this 64.40. I think if we can hold 64.40, to me that's not a bad look, Shamoon. We'd have to bounce off of it. That would have to be the look. Right now, we are not bouncing. We're just, is it Albert? Is it actually Albert?
No,
Oh, I want it to be Albert's class.
Alfred. It's not Alfred, though. It was my buddy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought his name was Alfred as well, like the butler.
Yeah. Well, it's
But
the
yeah.
same thing. People get it.
But yeah, so let's see what we do here. Reddit, basically my read on this would be like, I would say for it to be an uptrend, you would probably have to clear that 65 area. Why do I say 65? Because that was that area of resistance here, but it was also that area of support we had coming back into 1125. So I think clear that 65 area. Let's see what we see on the daily here for Chamoon on Reddit. Oh, Reddit's sort of in an uptrend here.
Yeah.
A little bit, but it needs, to me, it still needs to clear that 66. Look at this, 66 resistance, not once, not twice, but it'll be thrice. And now we have it on a wick basis, the 66 resistance. To me, 66 is kind of a do or die for Reddit. If we cannot push above it significantly, we might have to forget it. Because we've had so much resistance here. We have slightly higher lows, like if I squint, there's some higher lows here. But I do think Reddit, for it to continue its uptrend, needs to clear 66 viciously, desperately, and with a burning in its heart. If there's any stocks that you're thinking of that way, please vote. Yes, I'm flexing the fact that I have.
Hey, yeah, she's all over that stream deck now.
Exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever ticker you're looking at. Maybe it's GME, maybe it's Chewy. Maybe it's Vulcan, VLCN.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's Google. I don't know. You guys know what tickers you like. You go in that chat and you type it up.
Chris J. I wore the Meta glasses a few years ago at a Dave Chappelle show. No phones or recording devices allowed. I almost got booted out. You should have put that black tape, man, on the glass. Did they have the Meta glasses a couple of years ago?
I didn't think they did.
No, they didn't. You probably wore different ones, though.
Some kind of glass.
Oh, they were the, what were those called? They were the Snap glasses. Remember Snapchat?
I didn't know they had glasses.
Yeah. Snapchat had glasses. They weren't very good. That's why they're not selling as well as some of these ones. Like the Ray-Bans that are now. The Meta glasses are the Ray-Ban glasses, so you guys know what we're talking about. Brian Cox, Sharif, what is your take on PanW? Well, I happen to like it, Brian. It's my second largest holding in my personal account, and I think it's going higher. Not financial advice. Let's look at the chart. Here it is. Today, PanW hanging out at day high, $42 day high, up 0.2%, but that's not why I'm in it, obviously. Here's my look, Brian, and I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can be about this stock. I love that 260 level. There was a reason for that 260, 265 level. Once, twice, Obi, dang, thrice, okay? Here's what we got to that level back in October, that we ended up bouncing off that level till we took it on a closing basis, yes, towards the end of November. And that level came in a couple of times last year. It came in, do you have anything to say?
No, I was just listening.
Oh, yeah. It came in from October all the way to, mid to late October, and then it came in again in mid-November. Then we cleared it quite aggressively. And then when we missed earnings in February, look what happened, Brian. We got from all the way from 376 down into, you guessed it, 260, 265. We recovered. We dropped again. Lo and behold, where do we hold up, Brian? That same level, my man, that same level. And then it's been a fill the gap kind of look. We did have a lot of trouble, though, breaking through that 325. And I was talking to Adara about this almost daily. Adara, I see accumulation on PanW. It's going to flat top break through 325. Adara, look. And she probably had enough of hearing about it from me. And then
hearing about it. I liked it.
It's all good. And then we got the breakout on the 27th. You got it on a big, solid green candle, and you didn't flush after that. So you held up. 345 definitely is a local area of resistance. I'm looking for a curl back up to fill the gap. I want all-time highs. I want 380. We'll see what we get. We won't get upset. But I got to tell you, it looks fantastic especially if you remove this outlying candle here. It is very much an uptrending stock. Look, the beta on these is high, okay? The beta on these cybersecurity names is just the nature of the beast. I'm talking about CrowdStrike. I'm talking about Zscaler. I'm talking about SNOW, PanW. They have high beta, but I think you're catching the right trend. It's not financial advice, but every time I open up the news, I hear about another cyber attack. Now, I've told you about all the good stuff. Let me tell you about what I don't think is good about some of these cybersecurity names. Full disclosure. It seems as if there is a trend growing within companies not to want to rely solely on one of these companies in case their systems get breached. What do I mean by that? So if I'm, let's just say company A. I'm a big company and I want to protect, like, say, 3 different sections of my company. Each one does something different. I'll get PanDub for section 1, Zscaler for section 2, and then maybe CrowdStrike for section 3. The whole point being that each one has a different cybersecurity system, so to speak. I'm not a tech guy, so forgive me. I'm using layman's terms here. So that if one of them gets compromised, the other parts of my company don't. So what is that? How is that bad for PanW? Well, it's cost splitting. So instead of all my resources as company A going to PanW, I'm splitting it between 3 people. Now, theoretically, if all the companies or a large majority of the companies do that, the same companies get the equal amount of money. But it doesn't work like that in practice. So you're going to have to see which one of these bad boys ends up on top. I don't think they all share the same success equally. We'll have to wait and see. My understanding is there's 2 main horses that stand out in the cybersecurity race. It is CrowdStrike and it's Palo Alto Networks. I chose to get into PanW. That is no comment on CrowdStrike whatsoever. I think they're a solid company as well. I think Zscaler also has some cool stuff. I lost money on Zscaler. I got into it with PanW. I cut that one pretty quick for a loss. But PanW I've been holding for a long time, and it's my 2nd largest holding. I think it's a fantastic stock, but it is only my opinion and simply that. 216, right? 216.91, 94. Apple is absolutely flying. It is 3% in the clear now, Adara. It's about to break 217.
Yeah, Apple's like, Sharif, what do you mean I'm the dead one? How have I ever been the dead one? I am just like living my best life over here. So yeah, shout out to Apple and shout out to Sharif's personal account.
Thank you,
Apple.
Adara.
But Tesla, I cannot shout you out. Yeah, guys, so I'm not in any trades. Like I said, I literally cannot take a trade unless I am like in love with it right now. It is, like I said, we had some dicey trades on this year's Cybertruck earlier today. And again, no one's fault but my own. Made some bad decisions. Ready to go. If there's a trade I really like, I will go full throttle with it. Right now, I've not found anything, but I want this Tesla 210 short. However, Tesla being Tesla, I cannot really take this Tesla 210 short unless I am able to just hop into it and risk very little. And that's kind of what the, what the quagmire is that I'm currently in. Tesla keeps bouncing off 210. I'd be okay taking Tesla long off 210.30. But the issue is then Tesla will keep rejecting off 210.30. So then you might be like, maybe the solution is long Tesla 210, short Tesla 210.30. That could be the solution. But like I said, there with something like this as well, with the way we're breaking down with these topping tail candles, I think, and then also kind of this bottoming tail candle, I think this could go either direction. So in that way, I need to be very careful. Tesla's literally like that that song with, was it, I think Sean Paul and Justin Bieber, that she's indecisive, she can't decide, she keeps on looking left and right. That is Tesla right now. But Tesla, if you've decided you want to break, if you come back, if you get to that 210 and you do not push back above, this is where the short will be. And then as I say that, Tesla pushes back above 210. Okay, Tesla, just, like this is what I mean. We get above 210 and then we get below 210 and we come right back up just as viciously. Rally Nvidia into 4th of July holiday, says Underwater Loans. Let's take a look into that. I will say Nvidia holding up pretty well today. We did fall off much earlier in the day, but we're holding that 123.80 level quite beautifully. The other level here that was kind of resistance support flip is going to be this 124.20. Nvidia can hold above 124 right now. I don't think that's a bad look at all. Underwater Loans, hopefully you're not underwater on Nvidia. That definitely not the best time here, of course, if that is the case. But yeah, shout out to you. I think Nvidia, if it can hold above this 124, there's a decent look there. If it can't, at least briefly in the interim, I'm interested in something off Nvidia 124. But like I said, really, I'm only taking these trades that I am just obsessed with. I've also been looking at the futures, took 2 pennies on the future earlier today, then had to leave because it broke down a little bit there. But I am interested in the 74.60, playing in either direction. As Neil says, you have to be willing to flip the style up, and if they hate, let them hate and watch the money pile up. He used a Missy Elliott quote, but the point remains the same. If there's something you really like, you do owe it to yourself to trade it in that way. You owe it to yourself to pamp it, I guess, is also the truth. And you owe it to yourself to be confident in as well. Hi, Sharif.
Hello, Dara.
But yeah, But also, you know, we're gonna have to, not to use this transition again, but we're gonna have to do a crossfade, which is actually film transition, if anyone knows what that is, into crossovers.
I like that.
go.
And she knows because she writes, oh, Fabian.
Fabian gave us the crossfade. I knew he
Fabian.
would get that reference.
There you go, there you
Business
go.
punch. Thank you, Fabian, for that. Good
So, all right, welcome traders. Today's lesson tackles the moving average crossover. I can get it. Moving average convergence divergence, MACD for short, the crossover for that, which is a popular tool for spotting potential entry and exit points on the intraday chart. So let's get right to it. What is MACD? Well, as I poorly stated a second ago, it stands for moving average convergence divergence. It's a technical indicator composed of essentially two lines. The first line is called the MACD line, and it represents essentially the difference between two exponential moving averages. That is the 26-period EMA and the 12-period EMA. And it takes a difference between that, and it charts it onto a line. And the other line on the MACD chart is called the signal line. Essentially, the signal line is a shorter-term version of the MACD line. Essentially what it is, it's a 9-day EMA of the MACD line. So a lot of derivatives here, but just hang on. I promise it'll all make sense in a second. So here you go. You have, in this particular chart anyway, the MACD line is the blue, the signal line is the yellow, okay? Now, it sometimes shows up with a histogram. You don't actually have to have the moving average convergence divergence indicator with a histogram, but I like it. And the reason I like it is because the bars on the histogram, they get bigger when the gap between the two lines, the MACD line and the signal line, widen. The wider the gap between the two lines, the bigger the bar chart, or the bigger the bar thing on, or what is this called? The bigger the bar on the histogram, okay? That's all that you need to know about that. So when you see the bar high on the histogram, that is typically the area of the widest on between the two lines. When you see them very small bars, it's typically very small area between the two lines, okay? So understanding the crossover. So the key to the moving average convergence divergence, or the MACD crossover strategy, lies in where these lines intersect. There are two main crossovers that we're going to talk about today. The first one is called the bullish crossover. And essentially that happens when the MACD line crosses above the signal line. So it comes from a north-south position into a north position and crosses above it, okay? This particular crossover suggests to you a possible uptrend, potentially a good time to buy. Conversely, the bearish crossover. As I say, conversely here, the MACD line in this instance crosses below the signal line. So coming from a north position to a south position, and it crosses below it. Again, it indicates to you the beginnings of a possible downtrend, and it's suggesting to you that it might be a good time to sell or to enter short, okay? This is how it looks on the chart. So here is your bullish crossover. So you have the MACD below the 0 point, and then the MACD line is the black line. The signal line is the red line here. I just lost my screen. Give it a second to come back. There it is. We're good, Fabe. Thank you. So as you can see, the black line right there ends up crossing above the red line. And when it does that, look at the gap that is initiated on the price action. It's not going to always be so clean, but that's what we're looking for. Conversely, this is the bearish crossover. So the MACD line in an elevated position relative to the signal line, as you can see here, is crossing it from north to south, crossing it below. So that is what we look for the bearish crossover. On the chart, we're looking for, a stock chart with a MACD indicator displayed below. That's typically where the MACD is. Let me show it to you on mine real quick over here. Here is a look at Pan W, and as you can see, the bottom below the volume is the MACD line. So you have the MACD line is blue, the signal line is purple, and the histograms are in yellow. So it's exactly how it's going to show up on your chart, just like that, okay? So this bullish crossover, it might signal a buying opportunity, yada, yada, that's fine. Remember though, it's not foolproof. The MACD crossover is just a helpful tool, but not a magic formula. Here are some things to consider. There are certainly false signals that can take place in this particular indicator. Crossovers can sometimes be misleading, especially during choppy markets. So what this is trying to say is, The MACD performs better during periods of trend. Whether they're uptrends or downtrends, they perform worse during choppier markets, otherwise known as consolidated markets, when you're stuck between in a range, okay? You should also be looking for confirmation as to what you see on the MACD indicator. So if you get a bullish crossover, for example, are other technical indicators pushing or pointing to bullishness, or are there some others that are pointing possibly to a bearish look? So you need confirmation from other tools. The more you have, the better. It's a balance of the evidence type thing, okay? And you should also know where the price action is sitting in the overbought, oversold analysis before you get long or short. So consider if the stock is already trading in overbought or oversold territory before taking a trade based on the crossover. One way to find out if it's in oversold or overbought territory is to employ the use of the relative strength index. So typically with that index, anything above a print of 70 is understood to be in overbought territory. Anything below 30 is understood to be in oversold territory. Not that simple to use, but for our purposes, we're using it as a confirmatory tool for another indicator. But if we were to use RSI specifically, it wouldn't be so cut and dry. Okay? Beyond the basics though, we talked about the bullish crossover and the bearish crossover, but that's not the only crossover for which we can use MACD. There's also something called the zero line crossover. So the MACD line itself, not the signal line, but the MACD line itself, crossing above or below that zero line can also indicate potential trend shifts in and of itself. And there's also the divergence aspect here between price action and what we're seeing on MACD, right? When price movement diverges from the MACD indicator, it can signal a possible trend reversal, whether it's to the high side or the low side. Here's what I mean. Here's the zero line crossover example. So you have the MACD doing its thing 21 above that zero line at 0.4. It then comes down below that zero line right there. That in and of itself could be an indicator without having crossed below the signal line. What you end up seeing is the price action takes a bit of a dip there as well. The price action MACD divergence, also another method that we just talked about. Look how the price action in this specific instance continues to make lower lows, all the while that at the same time on the MACD line, or sorry, in the MACD indicator, the lows there of both the signal and the MACD line are making higher lows. The price action making lower lows, the MACD and the signal making higher lows. Therefore, the action between those two are diverging. Typically what that does is when you have higher lows on the MACD line and lower lows on the price, that means that downtrend on the price typically is coming to an end. It doesn't happen right away. As you saw on this particular chart over here, you had to wait for a little bit, but you ended up getting that price breakout through highs. So that is what that is. And the final word I just want to leave you with, guys, MACD crossover is certainly a valuable tool, especially for intraday trading. By understanding how it works and using it with caution, you can improve the chances of identifying potential trading opportunities. But remember, practice it, in a sim, in paper, especially if you haven't used it IRL and with real money. Make sure that your strategy works using MACD and before you ever use real money on the line.
Yeah, you always want to be very careful. With that in mind, this is a great transition. Speaking of real money on the line, I did get shut down, unfortunately, here today, but I want to talk about it because we're all here. I'm very much about positivity, but I'm also super about optimism. Second time this has happened. The first time was a GME day, so good times. This time, I stand by the impetus to short Tesla 210. The first short here that I tried to take it, not the first short, but like the most recent of the most recent, generation of this 210 Tesla shorts. I tried to take the short. The short went well, got into 80s, got out a little bit early, but I was like, Derry, you got to take the profit. Then I got back involved here because we were still below the 209.70s. Plan was to risk into 80s. Tesla flew away from me. I was like, okay, Tesla, I understand. Got above 210, I had to get out. That's the take on this, right? And I always want to learn from these experiences. Not a great way to start the week, but in a way, maybe it is because it'll motivate me to keep going harder. I'm going to switch to the sim because you know what? We still have an hour, 10 minutes, so I want to keep trading.
Good.
I just wanted to keep, I didn't want to switch. I wanted to show the trade before I switch because I am all about transparency on this here desk, as we both are. So yeah, I just wanted to shout that out. And if there's any tickers you want us to look at, Tesla, GME, AMC, Microsoft. Oh, I forgot what
I posted it quicker.
Yeah, go in the chat right there and put those tickers in there. Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, I don't know, all of that stuff. Go in that chat with your preferred ticker. I also love that Bears versus Bulls use the example of Li Auto as their preferred ticker. I thought that was pretty funny. So that was, shout out to Bears versus Bulls. The face Sharif made cannot be imitated. It was just like intense glee.
Yeah.
And like spite at the same time.
I see you there, Bears versus Bulls. I see you.
Spite is what I'll call that expression. Glee and spite. But yeah, you know what, honestly, just to summarize, just because I want to mention it one more time, you know, that happened, I got shut down, but I have to say, I can't be too upset because I had those trades with confidence.
Bang.
At least the last one was maybe I could have been a little bit more on the ball when I first saw that 210 rejection, but it's all good. You live and you most certainly learn, and you go to the sim where you can do some more learning because you just got to roll with those punches.
Absolutely.
There you go. So I'm going to switch over here.
Sure,
Yeah.
do your thing. So I want to mention here, Poet, P-O-E-T, back in the good books here, man. I think it, did we, no, we didn't break high day. We got really close, so this print right at 1040, that's HOD, that's that 290 print. But look at this candle over here at 1235, that got into 289, so we're 1 penny off high a day. Most notably though, after we put in that topping tail candle, we still held the 10 exponential on the 5. And we didn't make a lower low. In fact, that subsequent candle after the topping tail candle, in fact, made a higher low. And we been making higher lows since that candle. So this one looking good here. Let me give you the deets on Poet. 36.71% up on the day. It's done 8 1/3 million shares. It's about $150 million market cap, a little bit less right now, 147. Let's bring out Trade Ideas Software. Shout out the NOS boss and his crew over there at Trade Ideas. Poet, let's find out what the short float is. Quite negligible, 0.91, less than 1% of that of the float is shorted. So not really looking for that, you know, big short squeeze. Alas, though, it is a smaller float, so it can just go based on that. Now, I have issues with this one because the range per candle, given that it's a $2 name, is quite wide at times. I do like the respect that it's put in on the 5-minute chart for the 20 exponential. It's really respected, the 20 exponential, on a closing and on a wick basis. So if I was to want to weasel my way into this one, I'd look for either a 10 dip or a 20 dip. You know, the 10 dips come in way more often, as you can see. The 20 dips are fewer and far between, but they give you a better entry price, no doubt. That's the player I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You know that, Neil? Doing it and doing it and doing it well. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. LL. Hey, if you had the money. Man, we need Neil to freestyle Fridays again. Man.
I'm down. We could both do freestyle Friday. At one point, Neil and I both started singing Trap Queen.
Yeah?
On Friday on the market rate desk because what happened was Broadcom got to 1738 and then we both spontaneously went 1738. Hey.
I love it.
So yeah,
That's
we're
good
not
times.
saying that will never happen,
Yeah.
I guess is what I'm trying to say. And it kind of has.
I remember we had a likes likes
Neil
count.
telling
So
me.
Neil, if you got that 2,000, was it 2,000 on the closing show? 2,000. It was 20. It was 2,000 at first, and we dropped it to 15. But yeah, I don't know, man. I miss those days. I remember always being on the viewer side of that. I was never really around for a lot of them, yeah, in real life. But anyway, so Poet is, you know, it's very close to day high right now. Fabian coming into that 290, printing 286. So very interested in this one. VLCN though really hasn't given it up, right? I mean, look what it's doing. It's dancing at 6 at the volume weighted average price. It's holding above the IB high at 570. So this one's still in play. My only qualm with this name is that it's very rangy and very topping tailish. So it's a bit of a bamboozler. If you're gonna get in on this name, I personally would have resting orders for my beak wetters because it doesn't hang out in any one range for all that long. There goes Poet now, right back into that 290. This thing is going, guys. Good look here for POET. What does this company do? Canada, okay, well, there we go.
On Canada Day, it's moving today. Look at that.
Poet Technologies is a Canada-based design and development company. The company is engaged in offering integration solutions based on the Poet Optical Interposer. What is all that? A platform that allows integration of electronic and photonic devices into a single multi-chip module using advanced wafer-level semiconductor manufacturing techniques. All right, you lost me. Great look, price action-wise, 290, 291. There it goes again. This thing is going, guys. We're going to have to load it up on a trading screen here because this is the real deal, and it's not Neil's lesson of the day. I promise you that. But yeah, this is a good look, POET. Let's load this up on a trading screen here. So decent spread right now. 1 penny on this name. Not bad. Just printing high day and the bottom not falling off the bid. Look, even when the bottom does drop off, 4 penny spread, not what you want to see on a $2 name, but not that bad given that it is a low flow. So 40% in the clear right now. Going to keep my eye on this one, looking for a 20-period exponential retracement. Right now on the 5-minute, that's 275.
Yeah, I hope you get that. You know, I hope that you're a poet with that trade there. It's a poetic trade. I don't know. We're trying. But yeah, shout out to Poet. Happy Canada Day to all who celebrate. I am guessing just Canadians, but shout out to you if you're out here in Canada in our chat. I know we do have some Canadians, so great look there. Tesla. I'm in the sim, by the way, guys. I did mention that. Unfortunately, we had some no, not unfortunately, because I learned. So there we go. And you know what the thing is too, is I've realized it's very hard to trade, especially the names I like to trade, when you have like no risk. And it's like also, Adara, whose fault it is that you had no risk? That's you, because you made some really questionable Tesla trades, right? So I know I pride myself on my optimism, and I do think part of optimism is being honest with yourself when you messed up so that you can go and try to climb higher and do better the next day, right? So right now I'm long Tesla. Why am I long Tesla? You may ask. Well, I noticed that 209.50 was holding just beautifully. It was holding like a glove. If we break below 209.50, I'll get out. But I've been trying to build a position here. We've been above this 209.80, so I'm okay with that. That's where I started the position, added at 209.70s. I am willing to add at 209.60 if I see a nice little hold there, but right now I don't want to add too much. Just because I'm in the sim does not mean that I will be making simpler trades. But in this, yeah, I don't know. We tried to pun. So let's see how that goes. We have no auctions at 1 p.m. today. No auctions at 1 p.m., so I just wanted, because I know we're getting near 1 o'clock, I'm always very paranoid. Also, I have to say, you know, this is obviously nothing that only Sharif and I can see this, but my sim setup is a lot messier and more chaotic than my setup in the live. That is for sure with regards to my side chart, so it's always a thing to get used to. Probably need to clean that up at some point, but it's all good here. I just want to, I think it's really important to learn from your mistakes, own up to your mistakes, and keep climbing. Tesla getting near that 209.50, so we'll have to wait and see what we do here. Yeah, we're breaking below, so we're gonna have to exit out. Oh, Tesla, why do you not want me to leave? Yeah. Oh, it's because my cell key is different on. There we go. It's because my cell key is different in the sim. There makes sense. That makes sense, Adara. But there we go. So we're gonna have to get out of that here. Forgot that I set a different cell key in the live, but there we go. We broke below 209.50, so I got out. If we now continue to see these lower highs here, I have no qualms flipping short, but as Neil was saying in his awesome lesson of the day, which you can check out around the noon hour, then you don't want to flip short just because, or flip directions just because your trade didn't work out, right? You want to have reasons to flip. So for me, if initially we had the Tesla 209.80 area, right? What if we switch to 70s decisively, which it looks like we might do? That's when I would go short. I need to have multiple reasons. I can't just have, you know, a gut instinct, because, you know, guts can be sore. Guts can fall apart. It's just, you know, it can be a fallible part of the body. Was this my favorite analogy? No, it wasn't. But you know what I am very happy to hear about is your Poet trade.
I got in, Adara. I'm long 77s. This is going to have to hold 70. Otherwise, I'm gone. Zeno, I've already put my beak wetter in the mid to high 80s. We'll see what we get, and we will not get upset. But I want to ask you something here. I think this person was trying to troll us here. Oh. Pancho Villain. Oh. Kendrick Lamar says, Happy Canada Day. Does he have a beef with the entire country now, or is it just Drake?
It's just Drake as far as I'm aware.
All right. So
also, I do love Kendrick, so shout out to Kendrick. I am a noted Kendrick fan. Thank you for that. Yeah. No, I'm like literally like that is like I grew up as a Kendrick fan, so yeah, shout out to Kendrick, and that was, I have to laugh at that. It was a Happy Canada Day, I guess. The Drake beef.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, but Drake's not like us. You know, he's just one Canadian.
Okay, look, I'm not participating in any of this. I'm not making any statements.
I made one pun, Sharif.
Hey,
it was
like
but
that.
one pun.
I like it.
And you know, I'm euphoric that I've now made that pun. I'm feeling euphoria for making that pun. And now we're gonna have to stop.
Yep.
I'm not gonna wade into this beef any further.
You know what? There's always room for puns on this desk. Just like there's always room for made-up words, there's always room for puns. All right, I'm long 77s on Poet. It's gonna have to hold. Say that again, Neil. Always. Oh, I love that. There's always room for Jello. Jello. Good times commercial. Thank you for reminding me about that, Neil. Good times from my childhood right there. All right, Poet. It's going to have to hold 70. Right now, it just dipped off VWAP. We're long 77s. It's printing 76, 77s now, so break even. I'm putting my beak wetter in the mid-80s. We'll see what we get right there. Poet, P-O-E-T, up 35.5%, holding the volume weighted average price. Topping tail candle came in, but I've seen topping tail candles on this before, and it did hold up. So, you know, we're just gonna leave this trade, let it work. Let's see what comes from it. I don't really have a whole lot other than Poet, NNE, and VLCN in small cap gapper world. Donald John Trump, obviously in on my purview today, up 3 1/3, but definitely off highs right now. DJT still hanging out at 33 and change, not able to break 34. It was at 34.58 at the high. So DJT still not tradable for me quite yet. I guess you could have had an interesting trade off VWAP. I didn't have eyes on this, to be honest with you, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I missed this trade. But looking at it, ex post facto, I got to tell you, look at this. 6:10 a.m., 6:10 to 6:35, we hold up at 33. Right before that big boy Huadunk on the opening print, 9:30, we hold up at 33. We Huadunk, obviously, to 31. We reclaim 33. We come back in, test 33 again. So 33, interesting level here. I'll have to make note of that going forward on DJT, at least intraday. There is something here afoot with 33, despite the fact that, you know, we obviously went into 31, but it was a quick recovery there on Donald John Trump. So keeping my eye on that. GameStop, obviously, I've got that up on the side chart. We'll see if it does anything. I'm not going to trade GameStop today, but I've got it up there, down 6.5 at the moment. But this one has been all the hype, okay? It's been kind of, you know, Tesla a little bit, and then now Apple a little bit. Tesla was the big boy in the morning. Now Apple's waking up in the afternoon over here after it's up. But probably, oh, it's on Pacific time. That's why. 217.51 HOD's trying to hold 217 right now, but you've got a bunch of topping tail candles into that $0.50 level. So we'll have to see, is that the line in the sand? I got to tell you, though, man, I mean, you have a couple of touches midday here at 11:20 off the 20 exponential, but the majority of the day, Apple has maintained a price level above the 10 exponential moving average on the 5. It's obviously very strong as a result of that. We'll have to see if it's able to take out that $0.50 level. I want to tell you about some other names that are strong. AMZN just printed high day. Now it's no laggard either. Up 2%, was up higher. It got to that 197.69, and then did reject, coming back down into $0.25 right now. Topping tail candle, be careful with that one. It did reject off resistance level 1 on pivots. And then the other one that we talked about earlier on, MSFT, great look. It got into that 455 general area. It had been ranging below that 452.5, owing to that bottom area on Friday, but we broke that area on a closing basis, now trying to straddle the 10 exponential. So it's been a decent day here for these Mag 7 names. Let's flip back now to POET. Still at 275, not breaking down below my level. It'll have to break down below 270 for me to get out.
Yeah, unfortunately, so my chart's froze. I don't know if it's the same thing or what. I am trying to close right now so that I can reopen it. So my Pro 8 is having a little bit of a moment. I just want to explain why there are no charts there. Like I said, I did have to switch to the sim because of some things there. But yeah, apparently Apple like pushing up there. Interesting look there. Tim Cook into the upside, doing the Steve Jobs if you're there in the long, and also for Sharif's account, that is for sure. Shout out to you.
I can take over there while you wait.
Yeah, thank you. I do not know what is going on.
Stephen H says Polestar. Well, we know that bad boy reports tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning. Thank you for that. PSNY, Adara. And look, you know, we've been talking a lot about Polestar. lately, it's not a good-looking daily chart. That's just the fact of the matter. This de-SPAC'd back in, I believe, June of last year. So 2 years now it's de-SPAC'd. It used to be trading under ticker CCIV if you want to have a look at the SPAC action. But yeah, it's been down and to the right since it de-SPAC'd. Now, below $1, you know, they're usually going to get a letter from the NQ, the NASDAQ, once they drop below $1, but they can maybe organically get their price above $1 tomorrow, depending on how earnings go. Otherwise, they're going to have to probably resort to that reverse split. 91 pennies HOD right now. Let's go to the 5-minute look on Polestar. Great look on Polestar on the day. You can tell somebody's buying up this monster. Look, I tell you, we see a lot of these cars in Toronto. Now, I don't know if it's a Toronto thing or a Canada thing or what, but I see them a lot. And they're reasonably priced in Canadian dollars. I can only imagine that they're probably even more reasonably priced south of the border, because nothing is reasonably priced up here compared to the States. I gotta tell you, not very much. So, you know, this one I've always had my eye on. I've always wondered why it hasn't done as well. Obviously, we know that there is a major headwind for EVs, interest rates, batteries, demand. You know, obviously now the early adopters have already bought, and you're gonna have to convince the other ones that are not on board. You know, there's a lot of criticism about EVs being soulless, this and that. So, yeah, we'll have to see. Anyway, 91 pennies is printing high a day right now as we speak, on its way possibly at $1.15 1/3 green on the day. No, I'm not going to trade this, but obviously it's a 10 or 20 exponential move here, at least it looks like for the moment. So that's my look there. How's your chart basis going?
Thank you for taking over. Well, my charts had a little moment there. I could not have any chart straight because the charts had they're like me on the weekends. They had a nap. You know, they had to sleep a little bit, rest. Right. So yeah, there we go. I respect them for that. Thank you, charts. Thank you for being now back on. Nvidia bouncing off this 123.20s. This was an area that I liked earlier. So basically, even though I'm in the sim, I'm trying to take the same trades that I would take otherwise. I mean, the mental's always going to be different. I don't know if you could necessarily avoid that, but I'm going to try to mentally bypass that. I like this level. I shall take it long. If we break precisely into that 123 area, that's where I'm getting out. I would like minimum 123.60s. Why? Look at all these wicks here. That's also an area we broke down pretty viciously when we broke down. So I want to watch that. Nvidia, I'd have like so much more confidence if you broke above like 123.40. I'm going to be really real. But if you can't, that's okay too. But you know what else is okay? It's what's more than okay, actually. Thank you so much to Pablo Huse for another super chat. Thank you, Pablo. DAL question mark? Yeah, I will hopefully have an answer mark for you there for DAL. I always forget this is the NY, and I don't know NY. I forget that it's the NY, but I do. So here we go. Dow, how this one trying to push back up here off the runway after having a little bit of turbulence earlier in the day. We did scuttle to the downside, tried to get to this, lots of attempts to push up above this into this 47.30 area. Dow was not having it. That plane to the downside. Then we had a little bit of a bounce here off 46.85s. Tried to push a little bit higher. Currently bouncing off the 90 MA. However, apologies for the enunciation there. I would like to see us decisively close. I don't mean wick. I mean close above that 47. Why? It's a whole dollar level. It's also pretty massive area of resistance earlier with that 90 MA. So I know we have flipped from resistance support on the 90 MA, but I would like to see us push above even further. That'd be a good look for me here on DAL Pablo. But Dow reports next week. They do report next week. I was just doing my notes on that for the week ahead, which you can check out on Sundays, shameless self-promo. And Delta, they did miss revenue estimates last quarter very slightly. They had a nice EPS beat. So we're going to have to wait and see what if Delta has an alpha earnings report or more of an omega earnings report. We're going to have to wait and see what Delta gives us. But yeah, right now on the daily, certainly below the 90 MA pretty viciously. We've tried above here. That 51.50 area certainly is a sticking point with the amount of wicks we've had trying to come into that area. The only area of maybe support I see on the daily if we fall is going to be 46. Why 46? Look at this rejection we had here coming into March. Then we had a little bit of support here coming into early April. I think 46, if we can hold the support, not a bad look. But I'm still in my NVDA trade. I'm not saying NVDA yet, but I'm not saying NVD no way either. We're just hopping. We're near my area of entry. We're about 5 pennies out of the money. Smaller position sizes, which no Salvadera is a choice to make when you go live again tomorrow.
So your week ahead video got kind of a major endorsement. Someone messaged the Brendo, telling them that the week ahead could be a pay for type thing.
Really? I did not know that. Thank you for telling me.
Just letting you know.
Appreciate
So that's to me, that's a nod.
Thank you.
So-
I will nod in response to that. Thank you.
All right, OPTT, moving, guys. Small cap gapper that I don't have eyes on because it's below my 50 penny minimum, but it's doing well. Who cares? On the way up to 25 pennies. Right now, 25.20, as you can see there, the volume really coming in spades in the last 10 minutes, 105 on this chart anyway, is when the volume really started pumping here. So let's put in the ticker. OPTT is the ticker, and I'll give you the details on it in a second. Right now, it is up 27%. The market cap is a hottie, $12 million. It's done 31.5 million shares on the day, and the float is almost 56 million shares. Let's find out if there's a short float on this bad boy and bring in trade ideas and shout out the NOS boss and his crew. OPTT, 7.4 million shares of the 56 million share float is shorted, so 7.4 million. You can do the math there. So decent short float. Let's look at the daily chart on this one, figure out where the levels are going to be. So right away, we can see it's a former runner. It's got big topping till candles with usually a second day retracement. We can make that observation right away. You see these candles over here? Why they have such long wicks and small bodies? Because they retrace back down to what the market gauges the price should be. So these are very much intraday trading stocks. And what we see is either they retrace same day or the next day you get a big down move as well. So this one, former runner, definitely south of that dollar now for quite some time. You're wondering, I wonder when the reverse split letter is going to have, oh, these are trading on the Amex. So this is an Amex stock. OPTT trades on the AM. So keep that in mind. The 5-minute look though, I'd like anything off 22.5 if it comes back to test this area. The pre-market high is at 22.5. You have multiple rejections right there from 1150 to 1210 at 22.5. You had another rejection there at 1 before the big boy volume came in, which took us north of 22.5. If we test 22.5 again, I'm done saying 22.5, Dara, then I want all the smoke there. In fact, I like it so much, I'm going to load it up on the set side chart, or a trading screen, excuse me, OPTT, and it is, like I said, on the Amex network. Let's go ahead right there and sit at 0.225 right there, and we're going to sit there for that defend of this level. If it comes down, great. If it doesn't, we're not going to want any smoke. Now, Apple topping, or there's an area top over here at 217.5. It's ranging now, Adara, like it was earlier at 215, 214, between 217 and 217.5. There's a seller pushing this bad boy here at the $0.50 limit, but there are buyers. Every time it comes into 217, the buyers are telling the sellers, no, you don't, and pushing it right back up. So a bit of a range here. If I had to guess, you know, we mean revert a little bit here on Apple. We'll have to see. I didn't expect Apple to be strong on in a week where we would have subdued volume. You know, I thought we would definitely have some more inside plays today, but I guess not. AMZN, high a day, just printed 1977. Keep your eye out on this one. It's going. It's now up 2.25 a day.
Yeah, I have to say, I got to shout out to Darwin who goes in the chat. Are you down with OPTT? And I put, yeah, you know me, because I had to. Shout out to Darwin. Shout out to everybody in the chat here.
Bang.
I also, we had a super chat here from Ahmed Amwal. Thank you so much for the AED 1799 super chat. Just short QQQ. So let's look at that QQQ.
Get it.
Pew, pew, pew. I just put 11s. I don't know why I put, that's weird. 11 is my lucky number, so maybe the accidental putting 11, it could be a good sign for me, who knows? But let's take a look at the QQs for Ahmed. Oh, ooh. It's our first straight pushback of the new quarter.
I'm supposed to announce it.
Oh, sorry. Would you like to announce it?
No.
Okay. No,
I'm so needy.
No, it's okay. I'm just excited. Like, I love this look, Ahmed. I really hope you print, as we always say. Now, you might be like, why do I love this look? Look at this. Look, we had this area. I was saying the TQs were chopping and churning around here earlier, right? At this area. Look here. We bounce off 4085s. And to be clear, chart's not always going to matter for the futures, but man, is this enticing. Then we push back here to 48060, right? coming into another pushback, coming into confluence with that previous high, right? Ooh, okay, in the free market. Then we bounce, right? But we don't bounce that high. Look where we find rejection on a closing basis after wicking higher. That's right. 480.85s. Ahmed, shout out to you. I hope you print. And actually, this is making me want to short the TQs. So thank you for putting this one out there. That's what's great here about this community is like, you're not going to take every idea you see, right? But if there's an idea you see that is giving your brain a little light bulb moment, I think you do owe it to yourself to attempt those if you like those. I want to see the TQs duck their little head back below the 9 EMA like a little turtle in its shell, or Patrick Starr in his rock. Shout out to SpongeBob for some reason. I want to be watching the TQs there. I want to see what we do around like this 74.55s. To me, that would be below the 9 EMA. That's the level I want to see. And then things get a little bit spicy. Google short, question mark, says fault tolerant. I like that name. You have to be tolerant of faults, I think. That might be reference to something I don't understand, but also I like that name.
Oh, wow.
This is Google. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like this look. I think Sharif agrees because Sharif just said, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, Google here trying to break below VWAP. I would say, you know, the fact that we're below that previous area of support, that 182.65, great look. We're below the 9 EMA, confluence, but we're trying to bounce off VWAP right now. I think if we stay below VWAP, that would probably be a little bit of a nicer look to me here. Google's doing something at VWAP. I would say wait to see what we do at VWAP. Then I would also be aware of the top of this range earlier, that 182.30 support and resistance can flip-flop. This previous resistance could become support. Thank you, James Coy, for the kind words. It was very nice of you to say. I try to do what I can here with the little sunglasses emoji. Also, I forgot to mention this. I had an Nvidia long earlier. I was happy with this. We broke above 40s. I was planning on adding and subtracting more. I didn't get as many opportunities to add. We broke up into 60s. I got out. Like I said, I did not want to stay here beyond 60s. I think sometimes, I'm going to use the fact that I got shut down, as much as obviously I'm not happy with that. Instead of looking at it like oh, there, what is you? I'm going to use it as an opportunity to reflect, because you have to take your L's and turn them into lessons. You got to take things, and that's definitely a line from somewhere that if anyone remembers what rapper that is, let me know. But I know I've heard that somewhere before. And you do have to take those opportunities, grow and learn from them. And that's why I like to say P&L doesn't stand for profit and loss, it stands for progress and learning.
Oh, just one line after another. I like the L though, because lesson and loss, they're both right.
But I definitely heard that somewhere, and I don't remember who it was, so I don't want to take credit for it. But it's just something I thought of right now.
All right, guys, a couple of things here. I like the Google look at VWAP. I don't want to have a resting order hanging out at that 182.50. I'm unsure whether Google respects the volume weighted average price on this last descent or not. I need proof. So I'm going to wait until I see it close above that. Show me a couple of green, maybe not a couple, but show me its intention to stay above that level, and then we'll get in. By virtue of that thinking, you're going to have a worse price, obviously, because then you're not going to have right at that 50 penny area off which it bounced. Already in the 60s it goes, looking like a hammer candle right now off VWAP. So, you miss some, and you try to figure out another way in, I guess is what I'm trying to say here, lacking a lot of eloquence. So keeping my eye on Google at these levels. I'm also very interested in Softy, right? Microsoft's been strong. Chart pattern-wise, not percentage on the day, but chart pattern-wise, it's been fantastic. Look at this. I mean, Obi talked about speed lines earlier. We haven't done a lesson on speed lines, but speed lines essentially, when you have aggressive moves up, you draw these fanning lines at different angles. Right now, this would be one hell of a steep angle to the high side. So when you have a steeper angle on these speed lines, typically you have more aggressive retracements. And so I'm unsure whether I want to get it in off the 20. It's at the 20 right now. And that's the thing. You heard me talk about, the deeper retracements come into the 20, but it just looks like too much of an aggressive move. So I want to see what we do with this 453.5 on MSFT. It's at the 20 right now as we speak, above that whole dollar at 453. So good look there for Softy. I could absolutely be persuaded to get into this name if I see what I like. Goggles is holding up above the VWAP right now. A bottoming tail candle. Didn't turn into a hammer candle, but bottoming tail candle, no doubt. Apple is printing at day's high. And quite frankly, there's an obvious seller there at 217.51. Where's my Apple screen? Why do I have two Google screens, bro? All right, here we go.
Because your goggles, your four-eye. Double goggles.
That's intense. But yeah, I like when you know, you sit there and you admire your work. You drop a pun, and then you're very proud of yourself.
Sometimes.
It got dropped. So you sit there and you just like think about it like, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I should be proud of them. Whether or not I should be proud of them is maybe a matter for debate. But yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously though, 217.51 HOD on AAPL. It just printed that high day again. So there's clearly a seller on the other side of that $0.50. We'll have to wait and see whether they get overwhelmed or not. But Apple at high day just touched it again, printing mid-40s right now. Not much else to say other than it's been a great day for Apple. All right, Google right back down into the volume weighted average price again. So we did get a bottoming tail candle. It did hold up. And then we're not breaking below it. So this is kind of what I wanted to talk about. You know, with these weaker names, you like what you see, bounces off a key level that you've been looking at, but you don't get that follow through because, well, it's weak on the day, right? So I'm going to wait, see if I can get something here with goggles. Now, because we've already breached VWAP, I can kind of get in here and then say to myself, all right, well, if it makes a newer low below this candle, well, then, you know, that doesn't give me that much. I don't have to risk that much. This candle, the low is 47s. We're printing 54s. So we'll see. I'd rather just wait for it to prove to me that it's going to hold up at that level, and then I'll weasel my way in. I also have this softy trade I'm looking at. Very interested in that as well, there.
Yeah, definitely interested in that. Also, shout out to DJ Marshall saying apparently that L stands for lesson line comes from Master P, so appreciate that. But also, speaking of lessons, got to get into our lessons.
Oh, good point.
Going to have another crossfade into MACD crossovers, moving average convergence and divergence. So welcome everyone here today to, not only is it the first week of Q3, which is crazy to say out loud, we're at the second half of the year, but it's also the first day of MACD crossovers. And we're gonna talk about how you can use this tool to spot potential entry and exit points in your intraday trades. So what is the MACD? Well, it stands for moving average convergence divergence, and it's gonna be a technical indicator that's composed of two lines. You have your MACD line, which represents the differences between two exponential moving averages. Then you have your signal line, which is going to be a shorter exponential moving average of your MACD line, which smooths out the fluctuation. Then the MACD line you're going to calculate by subtracting the 26-period EMA from the 12-period EMA, and the calculation creates the MACD line. A 9-day EMA exponential moving average of the MACD line is called the signal line, and you plot your signal line on top of your MACD line, which can function as a trigger for buy or sell signals. But now, here's one example too. So you've got your MACD line here, that's the blue line. Then you've got your signal line. You have the signal line crossing over the MACD, and then you've got a little bit of a change in the tides there. So that's an interesting look, functioning there as a buy or sell signal. You've got your histogram, as Sharif said, you're not always gonna have that, but sometimes you will on your MACD in addition to those lines. And here's a MACD, oh yeah, sorry, that's just the MACD, and then you've got your MACD histogram. So that shows when we're in green versus red, then we have that crossover, then we cross over into green in the histogram, and then we push higher. So nice look there for MACD, the MACD here for just one example of how we have the signal lines with our histogram. Now, let's talk about understanding our crossover now that we've done this. So the key to the MACD crossover strategy is going to lie in where these lines intersect. There are two main crossovers to watch for. One of them is going to be the bullish crossover, in which you have the MACD line crossing above the signal line, suggesting a shift towards an uptrend and a potential good time to buy. Now, I don't know why I keep singing. What about the bearish crossover, though? This one, you have the MACD line crossing below the signal line, indicating a potential downtrend and a possible time to sell or hold off on buying. Jason Murphy, I've got to read this out. The MACD will make you jump, jump. Yeah. Shout out to Chris Cross because you have the MACD line crisscrossing. Okay, I was really proud of that. But shout out to you, Jason Murphy. That was, yeah, I'll calm down. Return of the MACD, Patrick King. You guys are making great puns over here. I'm just gonna let those happen. And here, you know, here's one example here of a bullish crossover. So you do have your lines. You've got your MACD crossing above your signal, as you have a potential opportunity to break out above here on this chart. So imagine you also, imagine you've got a stock chart with the MACD indicator displayed below, and let's say that the price has been down lately, but the MACD line starts to rise and crosses above the signal line. And then the bullish crossover might signal buying opportunity as the momentum seems to shift upwards. Here's one example of a bearish crossover. You have your MACD crossing above your signal line. We're on the way up. And then the MACD crosses below the signal line. It makes you want to jump out of the stock if you're long, because you have a bit of a bearish divergence there, bearish crossover. And then, yeah, so what about, because we talked about, yes, you've got, again, just to go over this again, if you have your price down, if the stock's down and then you have the MACD starting to rise, that could be a sign that you've got that bullish opportunity as the momentum shifts to the upward direction. But nothing is foolproof, nothing ever is. And I want to shout out to Sharif. I love that the lessons always emphasize the fact that these markets are, you can never predict them. No. They are wild, they are woolly, that's why we love them. But it also means you have to be very careful with anything you do with them, including your signals. No question. So there's a couple reasons these can be unhelpful. False signals, those are an issue with everything in life, but also in these markets, because crossovers can be misleading, especially during choppy markets. So you want to be very careful and maybe look for confirmation. Look for other technical indicators. Look for other price patterns. Look for areas of support or resistance to support the MACD signal before you act on said MACD signal. Thanks. Now, what about overbought and oversold levels? You want to consider where the stock is trading. Are we overbought or oversold? That, in confluence with everything else, I did say that on purpose that time, can be a sign that maybe the MACD will be more or less powerful there. But let's go beyond the basics. Let's go a little bit further below the surface. I don't know why I said it like a horror movie. So what about a zero line crossover? This is interesting, actually. The MACD line itself crossing above or below the zero line, your baseline can indicate potential trend shifts. So be aware of that. And also be aware of divergence, not the movie series, I guess that's Divergent, but of price divergence, because the price movement can divert from, or diverge from the MACD indicator, signaling a possible trend reversal. Again, I say possible because we never know how things are going to go. Here's an example of the zero line crossover, right? You've got your MACD, then it crosses below the zero line. That can be a potential sign of things to come. And price action divergence here, this one example too. You've got the move down in the price and you have a move up, higher lows in your MACD, which shows a sign that potentially the price will bounce in this example. That is in fact what it does. And you know, the MACD crossover, like a lot of these lessons we do, can be a valuable tool for intraday traders. And it's really important to understand how it works and use it with caution to improve your chances of identifying potential trading opportunities. But also, you're running out of time for an opportunity to vote.
Oh.
I was on the ball there.
You were.
Yeah, if there's any tickers you want to look at, any stocks you want to look at, GME perhaps, Chewy perhaps, all, you know, maybe you want to chew on some Chewy analysis. Any of those stocks you go in there right now, exclamation point, join, space, $, whatever tickers your fancy. Whatever ticker you like, GOOGL, AMC, AMD, MSFT. You guys know what tickers are. Put them in the chat. Just a reminder, I am still in the sim. Had some fun little Nvidia scalps. I think sometimes it's like weirdly relaxing being in the sim because you're like, oh, you can just take trades and focus on the analysis. It's like, why can't I do that live? No longer, Adara. Yeah. This will go in my trade journal / a Google document called tickers to look at. So we're gonna go in that. We're gonna have those reflections. That's what you got to do. You got to learn and grow and take every opportunity as an opportunity. All
right. I want to mention a couple of things, Adara. So number one, Microsoft and Google, I had the wrong idea on those. Microsoft did not hold the 20 exponential, and Google didn't hold VWAP. So 453 held on Microsoft, and the closing print from Friday, 182.15, held on Google. So I had my levels wrong there. I mean, I was looking at what I wanted to look at, but the levels that I was looking at were not accurate. And those were the 20 exponential and VWAP, neither of which held. So I'm not going to set up anything there now until I see a little bit more. Now, Apple didn't break down, despite the fact that the future did break 20,000 by quite a bit, went down to 19,977, and we didn't get a 10 exponential break on AAPL. So a lot of strength here. That 217 to the low side is support, and 217.50 to the high side as resistance here on AAPL continuing. Nothing really changing there. Now, I put this one while Adara was doing the lesson. I put it in the chat, NNE absolutely tanked. And I thought it was going to halt. And it looked like certainly that it was going to halt, dropping from that 32, 31, this candle over here. It dipped in one 5-minute candle, 26.35. As quickly as I could say that, it retraced above 28. Now it's trying to hold above that $28 level, maybe to retrace into the volume weighted average price at 29.75. This one is no longer tradable as a breakout under my system. So NNE off the books here for me. And we were talking about how these ones are around for a good time, not a long time. And you're unlikely to get something like this, if you were trading Apple, unless there was something, or Meta or Nvidia or anything like that. Percentage-wise, you obviously get a lot of action in those names, but I'm talking about percentage up and down. Like, look at this. from the top to bottom. In this one 5-minute candle, it's an 18.5% drop. That's ridiculous, right? In one 5-minute candle, you're down 18.5% super quick like that. That'll blow through any stops if you didn't have a good amount of spread between your stop and your limit price there, especially if you if you're using VWAP as your gauge. It blew through that. So I am now out of Poet as well, as it did break down below 270. So I end up losing 7 pennies on that bad boy. So POET I am out of. Got long 277 for the continued move up. It didn't hold the 20. It didn't hold the 10. It didn't hold VWAP. It didn't hold anything. So Poet right now out of that, negative on that name. VLCN also breaking down decidedly below that $6 level. It had been consolidating at $6 or at VWAP thereabouts for a while, and then it ended up breaking down below it and then using it as resistance now. It didn't even stop at the IB high. So, that was a tough read. Even the closing prints at 5 1/3 didn't even hold up. So initially it found some support at 5 1/3 to kind of mirror the closing prints on the IB high right there. And yeah, right down, it makes another newer low into 507. So nothing for me on these small cap gappers. It's not really their day today. It looks like as if it is the day of the Mag 7 names. And now, Apple did dip below 217. It's actually below it right now. 216.90s, this, that, and the other. It did dip super quick into that. Where is it? Where was it at? Looks like almost 3/4. It came into 81s there. It's below 217 now. So watch out for the mean reversion here on Apple. It's been very strong, like we talked about, holding that 10 exponential the entire day. If it closes below the 10 exponential now, it'll be the first time on the day for it to close below the 10 exponential. So we'll keep an eye on AAPL. What else we got over here? I mentioned goggles. I mentioned Microsoft as well. I didn't have the read on those. Nike, people keep saying, Nike started breaking out midday. Yes, and it's actually green on the day. Obviously, Nike lost about 20%, as you can see there, from the 98 print that we had. Adair and I covered this live on the Market Recap show, and then we saw it absolutely tank. And then that 5 o'clock conference came in there, and it tanked even more. And then the next day, tanked more after that.
You can call Thomas the Tank.
Yeah, clearly. It might as well look like a Rivian or something.
Woo. But
76.50 seems to be a good area of support, at least locally over here on NKE. It's at 76.25 right now. We'll see what we get with this one. But yeah, not really my kind of trade. Make sure, guys, that you're voting for your favorite tickers. You have 17 minutes left. Every day on the afternoon rundown, we take the 5 most voted for tickers, and we have the big kahunas cover them. Today, it'll be Neil and Obi looking at them for you. So if you like Tesla on the day, if you like Apple, you like Amazon, you like any of these small cap gappers, get into the chat right now. Hit that exclamation point, type in that word join, space, the $, and the ticker of your choice.
Right, because the ticker is the most important part, guys. You know, the ticker is what makes your heart beat.
Yeah.
Here's what makes the stock move. I don't know. But I want to look at DJT here for Turn T in the chat. Turned? I don't know. DJT, I see a massive double top. It's going to be at 34.50. There we go. And then even more so, we had earlier this area, we tried to get into this 34.40s. Rejection, rejection, rejection. Did not work. But the thing is, though, too, is just as strongly as we have some intense resistance here at 34.50s. Look where we have a scarce of support. That's right. I know Sharif mentioned that 33 area. I'm going to get weirdly specific and say 33.15. Why do I say 33.15? Bang, bang, bang. Like, we're trying to come into it again. Every time we get to this area, we bounce. Even look at this specific VWAP bounce. Look even again, too, at that area of rejection we had as well. Coming back to 10.15. I think if we stay above this 33, so 15, 33 area, that's a good look. If we break below, I would look out below. I think things could get deeply dicey here for DJT. Let's take a look at the daily chart for, and I don't think I've ever said this before, Donald John Trump.
Hey!
Let's take a look here. Oh, I see you. Okay. I sound like I'm in a horror movie once again. The 32 area, bit of a bouncy area here for DJT. We had a little bit of support here at April 23rd. Then we're trying again to hold this as support. Now we're below the 90 EMA, bit of a doji here in the day, up, down, and all around for our pal DJT. So we're gonna have to wait and see how this one goes. I'm also seeing a bit of resistance here, at least locally, at that 40 area here. Look at how we had that 90 EMA rejection now. Then we come above the 90 EMA, still reject that 40 area. We're struggling with 40s. The next area of support, which we also tried to wick into and failed to break above on a closing basis, is gonna be 43. So that's my look on the daily chart for D to the J to the T. Tesla, speaking of a stock that has a T in the ticker, that was the weakest transition I've ever had. This Tesla below the, Tesla, I see you, below the 90 EMA here. I need to stop saying I see you to stocks because I do sound like I'm a horror movie. We're below the 90 EMA. This to me, I don't want to say flat bottom break, but like kind of flat bottom break. As long as we stay below 210s, I am totally chill being involved in this. We're gonna get involved 69s because what is life without whimsy? It's nothing. You need whimsy in your life. Today I am in the sim again, just to clarify. It was not in the sim earlier, and then I did get shut down because of TSLA. But I'm back in the Cybertruck, seeing levels I like. And you know, when things come in and go in your face, you just gotta keep fighting. Much like Tesla's reaction when it had a $120 price target and an underweight rating and was added to a tactical list in a bad way. It goes up, and that's the type of way your attitude needs to be. Let your attitude be like the Tesla stock's reaction to a pretty bad analyst note. That's the lesson today. And I might actually write that in my little daily journal, and Tesla does not want me to have it short, but that's okay. Gotta stay positive. How are you doing?
Good. I want to mention BlackRock launched a new ETF today. It's right here. It's MaxJ. It's not doing volume, but really that's not what I want to show you guys. I want to tell you what it's all about. So BlackRock has launched a buffer exchange traded fund that seeks to offer a 100% downside hedge to risk-shy investors looking to tap the equity markets on the world's largest asset manager. So here's what it is, okay? So the so-called buffer or risk management ETF help maximize returns from an asset for investors and simultaneously provide downside protection over a specific period. The novel product will likely to appeal to investors who are hoping to ride a rally in the stock market as they continue to trade near record highs, but are concerned that a slowing economy and a higher for longer interest rate environment can hurt sentiment going forward. So basically you can hedge with this ticker. It's called MaxJ, and here it is, trading for the first time on the day, Fabian. Not really doing a whole lot, obviously 25, 21. This is not a day trade or an intraday stock. It is more for hedging. So I thought that was interesting. I wanted to share that with you guys because we hear so much about the lack of breadth in this market. We hear about the higher for longer. We hear about the soft landing. So, you know, you may want products out there to help you kind of keep tabs on things, and I think that would be an interesting one. So looking at that, I'm also looking at the fact that Apple now is breaking down slowly here, making lower highs and lower lows for the first time on the day, essentially coming into that 20 exponential. That's all the while when you have the likes of Meta making a nice move up back into that closing print on 504, Amazon at high a day. You see Microsoft getting a bounce off that 453, right back into that $0.50, and Google holding yesterday's closing print at 182.18. We haven't said a whole lot about Nvidia today because it's really flat, 0.14. So I haven't had eyes on it. Tesla, funny enough, has actually been holding, you know, that near that high. Obviously, it's not at 211.55, which is a high a day, but it's hanging out near that 210 area, and most notably above the volume weighted average price on the day, and does seem to find some support here at 209 as it dips down into those levels and then seems to find buyers. So the future, it's really been more about the strength of the Mag 7 on the day as opposed to any of these small cap gappers, which is absolutely fine, but trying to discern which one to trade at times can be a bit tough, especially with the ones pulling back. Well, I'm often unsure, you know, are these a healthy pullbacks? Or is it like, are we mean reverting now back into maybe, say, a 215 on Apple or whatever, somewhere in around there. So I'm going to watch for a 20-period break here. Now, the beautiful thing is there's quite a bit of space between the 20 period and the 50 period. So if we get a closing print below that 20 exponential on the 5 on Apple, I'm going short for possibly a mean reversion back into VWAP at around 215 or something like that. Unsure exactly, but I'm watching intently to see how Apple trades with that 20 exponential on the 5 on the day, and then if it breaks down below it, then yeah, I do want the smoke. So we're going to keep eyes on that. Let's see what else is moving in large cap. Oh, well, not large cap, but these other names. We talked about Polestar being reporting after the bell tomorrow, and we were saying how it was doing well on the day and continues to do well. So there we go. New high day on Polestar, 93.85 HOD. It's up 18.62%. Almost 25 million shares traded, close right now as we anticipate earnings for this one tomorrow. Obviously, it is a bit of a tough sell, having, basically given back quite a bit this year, Adara. Yeah. Just to let everybody know, Polestar on the year is down almost 59%. So obviously tough to justify punching long before the earnings, but it can prove itself tomorrow afternoon. So we'll keep eyes on that. What are you guys looking at in the chat today? I don't have anything that I'm really looking at right now. Kevin Rogo says PRST. Let's find out what that is. I didn't have.
Storage?
Oh,
maybe not.
PRST. Let's find out. Presto Automation. Not like I know what this is either. Let's find out. 5-minute look over here. Oh, nice move there into 9 penny territory, but finding a bit of resistance there. Not one that I'm really going to trade 9 pennies, but we'll keep an eye on that. What else? Max J says Monty G. Okay, well, I think he was responding to somebody else. AMD at VWAP says Craft Stock. Let's have a look at AMD. Oh, yes, good point there, because AMD was a bit of a recovery there. I was watching this earlier as it was making its way through VWAP. Now, coming back into that 156 again. It also happens to be that VWAP, bit of a double top there at 157. Couldn't break through that whole dollar level and below the 50, most notably. Interesting look, I guess, today is a bit of a sell-off on the chips. Most of the chips, at least on my watch list anyway, in negatory land. That is, unless your name is AVGO and you're up 1.5% because you're about to split. So AVGO, really one of the only names that's green on in chip world today. Nick says Uber is testing high a day. We had a look at Uber earlier. Let's see what we're doing here. Yes. Okay. Interesting look here, Nick, because we do have resistance right here. So if we end up rejecting this area here, it'll be really interesting. It's not going to be the 50, though. It'll have to be a price action rejection because this one rejected the 50. Now we're above the 50. So this one got into a high of 70.80, 70.79 on this one. We're back at 70.80 right now, Nick. So do we clear it or do we reject Uber down 2.59% on the day at a critical level? But I like your thinking, especially with these higher lows, right? So even though we've got the higher lows, it's a tougher proposition here to say, let me put a resting order at 780 because we're gonna tank from here. I need proof. We're gonna tank. So right now you're seeing that selling come in because it didn't print above 80. So it behooves us now to load up Uber on a trading screen and see what's up. So let me remove all these orders. Let's load Uber. Uber trades on the New York, guys. Let's go to New York. Here we go. Here it is. So I don't see big size north of 80, and I don't see big size following up the bid either. I'm basically void here of any decent size, but there goes 780, and there comes 783. So this one just printed high a day. And so there you go. I need proof, baby. So this one didn't show me proof. It still could if it turns back around. So this level on Google, interesting to me. It'll have to turn back around, though, at these levels. 782, it's printing right now. Let's see what else everybody's talking about in the chat there. NNE dipped in returning VLCN $5 off. Toronto the Great. Oh, he gets to ask whatever he wants there. Shout out to Toronto the Great in the chat. Let's have a look at Reddit. So this is the 5-minute look on Reddit. It's been a dalliance today with a volume weighted average price, however you want to look at this. I mean, even at 1050 when we were very consolidative, any dips into VWAP have all been bought up. Interesting look here. I guess maybe you could make the argument that this area of resistance flipped to support on that occasion. So, and this area is still acting as resistance, 65 3/4. Interesting look here on Reddit. Very bamboozling. But when it's cleared an area, it's come down and used it as support. So you kind of like that. Here's what I mean by that. So look at this area here at 64.5, right? We know that that was an area top. It was the IB high. We consolidated there until about 11 o'clock. But once we broke above that 64.5 at 11 o'clock, look what we did. We came back and tested it and closed above it. Every single closing print from 11:40 to 12:40. It didn't.
Oh, it's my chart. Sorry, Fabian, it's my chart. Yeah, there, sorry.
From every single print from 11:40 to 12:40, the closing print was above 64.5. So we were using it as resistance. Now we use it as support. And then during that 64.5 hold, look what the high was, around 65. Lo and behold, you clear 65, then you come down and you use 65 as support. So I like that about this particular chart. Resistance flipping to support multiple times on this Reddit look today. But, you know, most notably, it's higher highs and higher lows. So it's a bit of an upward channel. Let's see how this one finishes the day off. Below the $0.50 right now in 65. So not a bad look here for Reddit. Let's now go back to Uber. Still not clearing 780 with any distance. So if we start turning down here, guys, on the 5 minute, on the 1 minute, whatever, and we show, you know, the sellers coming in at the 780 level, I'll take Uber short. But right now, I'm seeing it hold above that level. So I'm, yeah, definitely not going to do that. Shout out to Crap Stock. Anytime, my man, you let me know, and we'll always look at the ticker of your choice around here. And that brings me to my next order of business. Get to the chat right now and have your say every day for the afternoon rundown. Get into the chat and vote for your favorite tickers and solicit your friends in the chat to vote your way. Otherwise, your stock may not make it onto the list because we only take the top 5 names as voted by the chat every day.
Do that campaigning.
Hey.
What you need to do here. Like, you got to do what you got to do, guys, if you want that ticker involved.
True.
Also, yeah, I can really tell that my brain was having a moment because you were like, oh, the chips are weak, which they are. The chips are getting chipped today, that is for sure. Semi-rough day for semiconductor stocks.
Oh.
And as that's happening, I'm like, oh, well, Nvidia's up 5%. Yeah, no, I was looking at Tesla. I was involved in Tesla, fully thought I was involved in Nvidia for some reason. But like, in the end of the day, as long as you're playing the chart action, that's what matters. I was playing that. So the trade went well, even though my brain was apparently in La La Land. Shout out to the contentious Oscar-winning film from Emma Stone and
I remember that one.
Ryan Gosling. But yeah, so that did not actually win Best Picture, despite what was
Is that
initially
where
announced.
that guy from
They
The
announced-
Office is? What was that movie with The Office? And it had Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling and what's his
Oh,
name?
that was Crazy Stupid Love.
That's
was
the
Crazy
one.
Stupid
My
Love.
bad, my
that
bad,
did not
yeah.
win any Oscars to my knowledge. But yeah, they've been in a couple movies together, which I
Okay,
just
my bad,
realized.
yeah,
But no, it's all good. That I think is the more popular of their movies. But that's not the point. The point is Tesla's here below the 90 EMA. Sorry for the tangent, guys. Tesla's below the 90 EMA. I was shorting pops off the 90 EMA. I tried to get more involved, but Tesla is doing the same thing it did at 210. You know what I said at 210, where Tesla would try to break below 210 and hop between 210, 210.30, 210, 210.30, 210, 210.30, maybe mini ranges, making very confusing candles. Tesla's doing the same thing here. We get to 209, 209.30, 209, 209.40, 209. So with that embezzlement, I decided to get out right at 209. Really happy with how this trading is. I would like to say please just punch. I am in the sim today, but you know what? Like I was in live earlier and that did not work out. But that's the point, is you just got to keep learning these lessons, taking those, I don't even want to say paper cut, take those knife stabs, take those machete cuts there from Tesla and take that and come back the next day. Even harsher, that got kind of violent. But sometimes the market is violent towards you. The market is, it's a living thing. Is it? I don't know. And you just got to keep going the next day with even more aggression, aggressla. Today, Tesla was aggressla to me. Tomorrow, I will be aggressla to it. Maybe if I see stuff I like. Also, that AMD VWAP bounce. Okay, I see you. What was that voice? I don't know. But AMD bouncing with...
Pushback, chair pushback. That's number 3 today.
That is number 3 today. I think I gave 2 to the same chart at one point. So number 3, look at that. Oh, we bounced off VWAP, but look at that 90 MA rejection. Adara, confidence? Confident? Yes. We're going to risk here into 40s. If we stay below the 90 MA, I will take this short. I want to see us have another move back below the 90 MA. We just started a new 5-minute candle, so I'm not going to wait for a close. That would be a little bit, I don't want to say redundant, but it would be probably not a wise time decision. Happy didn't get into that short right away, though, because definitely would have lost on that. We are bouncing, but I see that topping tail candle, and I'll be keeping my eye on said topping tail candle. So let's be aware of that. Also, Nvidia here, you know, I was looking at Tesla accidentally earlier. This is actually Nvidia, guys. We're below the 90 MA. I would like to see what we do here. That 120, oh, and as I say that, Nvidia's like, oh, what do you mean? I'm going to sell off. I'm like, okay, Nvidia, calm down. We're below the 90 MA. I was taking shorts and longs within that 123.20 to 123.50 area, very tight range. If that range still wants to come to fruition, I will continue to trade said baby range, because I like those baby ranges there. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can afford a whole Range Rover, get a baby range. I don't know. Also, AMD did give me my topping tail candle. AMD, if you want to keep giving me my topping tail candle, I'll get short just shy of that number, 156.26s, and we'll have some coffee and we'll wait for this short to come to fruition. If we break above into 45s, that is where things will end here for my AMD.
All right, I'm short Apple and Uber at these levels, so we'll see what we get. These are going to be quick scalps because I got to be at the green screen in short order over here, so we'll see if we can scalp a little bit. As Apple did break down below the 20 exponential, on a closing basis, I know that there can be bamboozlement on this. I know we're still near very highs, but I'm trying to scalp on this one. I'm also short on Uber, and if this one prints above 85, then I'm out, because that was kind of the top wick of that previous candle off which I got in. I'm looking to wet my beak at 69s, but it looks as if, you know, both of these ones are going to bounce, so that's all right there. And yeah, I'm already stopped at Apple. I had to give it a lot, you know, very tight room over here because I didn't want it to go against me. So we'll see what we do with the $0.50, because this could be an interesting holdup at the $0.50, and I could flip long here. So we do get stopped out of that Apple one for a 6-penny loss. Now I'm going to have to wait to see if we get stopped at an Uber for, this one will be a 9-penny loss, because I'm giving it to 85s, 8-penny loss, and or 886, sorry, I'm giving it to, and I got in at 77. So Apple looks like it's, you know, interesting, back up to the high side over here, bouncing off that $0.50. Sorry, I'm flipping between the two, but I was trading the two. So Apple looks like it's coming right back into that 20 exponential again. So I think I had the wrong idea on this one, and I gotta remove this buy order, which was the order to cover. Uber still definitely, you know, at that 80 area. It's not printing higher, so I'm much more hesitant to want to end this trade like I was with the Apple trade here. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. UBER. Oh, Tesla just shot up there. Big move up for Tesla off that 209. And what? It was at 209.04. Now it's at 210.40? Wow, bro. Yeah, so that's a big move up there for Tesla, $1.50 quicker than you can say, how do you know? And then up into that possible tool. Neil just gave me a look.
Everyone's giving you a
look. Right,
look.
211 area up here. Yeah.
I like that.
I make noises.
No,
I
like that.
I like it.
Yeah, Sharif.
Yeah. 211 area seems to be a definite top there on TSLA. You have these outlying candles over here at 1030 and 1035, but those are definitely the exception, certainly not the rule. The rule was 211 rejections on the morning today on TSLA, so we'll keep watching that. Still in this Uber trade, it won't stop me out, it won't print me, so we're gonna have to find out exactly what's going on here. There are a few more minutes left on the show. Any final thoughts before I give everybody my idea?
I hope you have some Uber great opportunities in your Uber trade for some profit taking. I hope that Uber is an XL trade and not, just a right around the neighborhood. Also, I want to address this. James Dell asking here about the FOMC. So there's no meeting on Wednesday. There is the release of the June minutes. So basically, that's just going to be kind of what they talked about, what the general consensus was, a little bit more details into the thoughts of the FOMC members from the June meeting. It's not going to be anything directly new, right? Because we already had the June meeting. It's just going to be, this is what happened in the June meeting. This is what people are thinking. So that's what we're expecting there on Wednesday. I just wanted to address that here. AMD, though, still below the 90 MA. Happy you took this trade. Again, I am in the sim due to certain Tesla-related mistakes made in the live that we own up to and we learn from. And, I think that's, one thing that I definitely, Obi talks about this a lot, and I've said this repeatedly, the mental element, I just find it very different since you go live. Today, the mental did, smack me in the face a little bit today. Not gonna lie, not a great time. But you take it, you learn from it. I had some good trades in the sim. I got back to basics. Shout out to Christina Aguilera. And I got back to doing the things that I like doing, which is scalping, which is getting in and out of trades and keeping pieces for the dream. That is the type of trading I need to be doing more of. And I'm very excited please as punch to get back on the live tomorrow. Try to do some more of that. Don't love these bottoming tails in the AMD, though I do stand by the short. We were below the 90 MA. I was going to risk into 46s. Why 46s, you may ask? Because look at these little resistance and support areas, both of which at the 90 MA. You know what I call that? Confluence. So I like that look there. Also, someone's pleased his punch with his Uber there. That Uber is driving right up to his destination ahead of the ETA. That Uber's early. You should tip that Uber driver, Sharif. Also, shout out to Richardson. Thank you so much for the 2-month member chat. What's up, everyone? Love, love, love to all of you with 3 hearts, 1 for each love. So shout out to you, Richardson. We always wish our love for the chat. I love this community. I am so happy to be here. And I know Sharif's happy to be in his Uber. I'm happy that Uber pulled up what it did. Let's put it that way. The Uber
yeah, I know. Honestly, there would have been absolutely no tip for this driver. We just got printed there on the Uber short, and I'm happy with this trade because we didn't have the right idea on Apple. At least I had it on Uber. We'll see if this one continues to the downside. I'm saying Uber as a nod to Obi because he always says it that way. But, you know, this could be just a quick scalp because Uber was in an uptrend. The only reason I got into this because of the double top that we had at 81s earlier. That's really the only reason. It wasn't a price action level that I saw on a multi-time frame or anything like that. It was based off support and resistance. So that's a look. We'll see what we get a little bit more. Now, Tesla is still going, guys. Here comes 211 on TSLA. And I already talked about this 211 level being very important this morning. It is technically the resistance level that you need to concern yourself with. 211.15, 211.55, excuse me, is the high of day, but that's an outlying print on higher volume earlier in the day. Really, the level has been 211, so we'll see if this one is able to take it on a closing basis. We have not had a closing print north of 211 on TSLA, 6.5% right now. It's going for more. We'll have to wait and see how this one closes off there, but wow, I did not expect this today on Tesla. You know, we had two basically, I don't want to say contradictory headlines. Wedbush with the nod, Wells Fargo with the shaft. Yeah. You know what I mean?
A big old.
Yeah.
They're not doing Wells Fargo in
no, no. I'm covering my Uber trade here because I got to get up. But yeah, I mean, seriously though, I did not expect this from Tesla today. 6.5%. It's a real deal on the day.
Yeah, that was wild. And it's funny, too, because if you only read the headlines that were circulating on social media, it seemed like a positive note. It was like, oh, Tesla on the tactical list. And then you look into the tactical ideas list, and it's like, oh, Tesla underperformed 120 price target. So, yeah, calling it a growth stock that isn't growing is certainly a bit of a rough look there, but I guess everything balanced out there for TSLA. Like I said, I would like my approach to trading and my mental attitude to be the same way that Tesla popped up in a bad headline. That's what I want in my life. So I guess shout out to Tesla. Also, I want to shout out here, Bassam El Abs. I would not say like GME, yeah, pumping a little bit here. We're still down in the day about 4.5%, but we certainly are having a nice recovery. I think there have been support resistance levels. I mentioned this earlier. 2270, certainly one of them. We had that support at 850 in the pre. Then we bounce off this here at 1055, but we make a higher low. Then we push higher. Man, are we trying to flip above though?
I'm not on mute.
This previous resistance at 2340. Then a little bit of support. Then we get resistance. We get resistance. We get resistance. Let's see if we can flip to support. I'll feel better about this GME pump if we bounce off 2340. I am got 45 seconds left here. I am in a trade right now still in the sim again because I'm in the sim today on this AMD. We're below the 90 EMA, I have no reason to leave. I will be leaving though as we end the show because I only trade on the show. But yeah, I hope you guys had as fun of a start to Q3 as we did over here. There were lots of ups, there were lots of downs, there were highs, there were lows, there were Teslas. I think it was a really exciting, entertaining day. And let's end actually with a quick look at Chewy as we get into the last 15 seconds here, because why not? Yeah, Chewy, chomping its way back to the ups. Ooh, this is an interesting look. We have these nice little bounces, these bottoming tail candles at the previous area of chop and turn here around 2580. What a look here on C to the H, to the W, to the Y. But right now, we have to let you guys go here. We're going to be, switching this meal here, I'm trying to make a Chewy pun, from this desk over to that here desk. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Right now, though, we have Sharif, who will be talking and gesticulating at the green screen. Guys, see you tomorrow.
Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you decide what we talk about every day. We got Obi, we got Neil. They're locked, they're loaded. They're ready to look at the tickers that you selected for us. Make sure to catch that with Adair and I on How to Trade and get your vote in the chat. Let's start off with the